I'll do that.
There's a lot of echo.
Yeah.
So we,
You have to mute
I don't know
yourself.
who can see me, but I am Aruna Roy. And greetings and hello to all
so
of
that
you.
sound has to be.
And
Yeah. You'll have to mute your sound. Mute it.
Tell me how.
Hi, Aruna.
Hello, Jaima. How nice to see you.
Very nice to see you too. Is it very cold there?
Sorry, yeah, it's cold. I mean, it's not very cold, but it's cold. How is it? How is it in Hyderabad?
Well, it's not cold like Rajasthan, but it's been raining just now. So
Oh my God.
the temperature has dipped a bit, but not very much.
Yeah.
Who's
Okay.
controlling?
मोनू इसको बॉक्स में देखना है तो कहाँ जाऊंगी मैं? मोर में
क्या देख रहा है वो पार्टी से?
बॉक्सेस में देखना है
अच्छा,
कितने
ठीक।
लोग हैं। Hello, everyone. Niranjan.
Pranam, madam. Good evening from Bhutan.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Namaste and good evening to everybody.
Hi,
Namaste,
Aruna.
madam.
Hi, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, Vinita.
Hi, Aruna.
Hi, my dear. Lovely to see all of you. On whatever pretext we are meeting each other, it's good.
I think we have a very good pretext.
That's right. Yes, true.
Yes. How have you all been in Tilonia, ma'am?
Sorry?
How have you all been?
Sorry, what did you say?
How have you all been?
We've all been okay, except that Banka hasn't been well. He got
Oh, no?
that horrible COVID, and after that, he's been fairly unwell, and he has now become better, but his movements are somewhat restricted, so he stays more here than anywhere else. And I don't know if you know, but I work elsewhere. But for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been with him in Tilonia.
I think he can't afford to be unwell.
अभी चाय हमने बना लिया ना तो थोड़ा सा है तो आपसे पहले बाद में
That was Aruna Roy.
That's Aruna Roy. But you're right. The first thing I saw was this meeting is being recorded. So
That's the good thing about online.
I don't find it doesn't too much time. I just want to see.
Hello, where are you? Everyone there?
Yeah, hi, Banka. You show your face if you don't
I
mind.
want to.
Show your face, please. So there you are. Good.
Where's my face? I can't see.
I can see it. Why should you see your face?
Paudel, how are you?
Very good.
Long
Thank you
time no
so
see.
much indeed. Dr. Roy, I believe you are not been keeping too well.
Box में ना दे सर.
I'm okay.
But you have to be okay. You can't afford not to be okay.
Only for you.
Thank you so much indeed. What a blessing. You are a blessing to all of us.
Oh, we've had a great time in Bhutan.
Thank you so much indeed. You have to come
Great
again.
time.
कहाँ से होता है वो box?
You have to come again.
I just saw it.
I will. First love.
Thank you so much.
When do we start, Aruna?
Yeah, we're just waiting for people to join Bunker. They haven't yet joined. They've only
I
got
see Jimmy
28
there.
people. We have to have more.
Hi, Bankar.
It's still not 5.
It's not yet 5. We're all early birds.
Oh,
So many have joined. Jaima has joined.
Ginny, how are you?
Hello to all, Arvind here.
Where are you, Arvind?
At Devas, Banka.
Ah,
Get out of this. Aruna, why don't you go there? Go there and keep that. This will.
Ginny, good to see you after so many years.
Yes, absolutely.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Ginny?
China.
Ah, okay.
How are you?
Surviving.
See bunker.
Surviving.
Surviving.
Hi, bunker.
Vinita,
How are you?
thinking of the 80s when you were here.
Yeah, true. Late 70s.
Hello, Bunker Rajiv.
Hey, Rajiv. Hi, how are you?
Hello. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hi, Bunker. Shobna here.
You can see
Shobna.
me.
Hi.
I'm
Long
kind of
time.
acting as
Yeah,
the
long time.
facilitator for
How?
bunker.
You had 4 games today, 5. And how did they go?
I lost one.
Drew 1.
Yes, so in total I've lost 3 games and 1 loss.
No, you've
I've
drawn
drawn a few.
2
Aruna, when do we start?
I'll just let
No,
you
we are
tell
waiting
me.
for
and
others
1
to
for.
join. It's not yet 5 o'clock. You have to give another 5 minutes for people from all over to join. Just give a little time.
Hello, Bunker. Bye.
Stephen,
Yeah, man.
Hi.
when
Long
did I
time.
last, when did I last see
Long
you?
time. I don't know. I think it's been about 8-10 years.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Been a while. So
Wow,
anyway,
wow.
congratulations. I'll be launching
On
my
what?
memoir very shortly. So I'm very excited to be here.
Can't hear you.
Hello,
I
Rajiv.
said, as you know, I will be launching my memoir very soon because you've written a very kind thing about it. So I am
No.
very much looking forward to this for many reasons.
Tell me what?
Lost
Tell me
2
some.
and drawn 4.
Just that your life is so inspiring.
So how was
Aha.
today?
I'm not sure.
I am.
I'm not sure.
I am. But it's very early here in US. It's 6:25.
Sorry
AM.
to wake you up like this.
Oh, it's very much worth it. Thank you.
Are con?
एक प्लेट दे अजी आ जाओ
Hello, Bunker.
प्लेट दे
Where are you?
Hello, Bunker.
Can't see you. Where are you?
Dev Dungi.
Ah, Shankar.
Ah.
Hello,
Aruna.
Renuka.
Ka.
Hello,
दिखाई दे रहा है.
hello, मैं ममता. मैं रेणुका.
दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है.
Hello.
Hello, Bunker.
Bunker, this is Lolly. Long lost friend. Hi. How
I
are
can't
you?
see any of you. Where are you? You're all half cut.
Hi, Bunker. This is Vinti. If you remember from the days of yore,
दिखाई नहीं दे
Aruna
रहा है इन लोग को तो.
Janet. Hi, Bunker.
Hello, Bunker. Rajni here. Can you see me? Rajni.
Hi, Bunker.
Okay, who was my friend? Nobody is putting on the cameras. Okay.
Now, हाथ मुंह धो के
Everyone's coming in.
का break लेके रिवाइज कर लो.
Hi, Bunker. This is Rukmani.
Where's your switch off the camera? What do you know?
Have you unmuted me? Okay.
Yeah. That's the reverse. Start video. Okay. No.
Let's see.
Hi, Bunker. Vijay Mahajan.
Yeah, I can. I
Hi,
can
Vijay.
recognize you.
Hi.
How are you? Bunker, Rajni here.
Rajni,
Hi, Bala.
good to see you.
Yeah, dear, good to see you too. I hear you're doing well. I'm really happy to hear that.
Oh, thanks.
Bankar, it's really good to see you here.
Hi, Bankar. Meenakshi here. Hi.
Hi, Meenakshi. Hi.
Great to see you.
You don't recognize me, Bankar? Vinky.
Why can't, what do you mean by I can't recognize you?
I don't have done it for so long.
You have the
My
same
hair
hairstyle.
Black, it's out of a bottle, but lovely to see you.
You haven't changed your hairstyle.
Hello, Lolly.
No,
Hi there. Hi.
Lolly, lovely to
Bankar,
see you, my dear.
it's Lolly. I don't know whether you
I
can
know.
see me.
Yes,
But
we can.
Can I
We
see
can.
you? Yes, I
Wonderful.
can.
Good to see you after many, many years.
Must be over 10.
More than that, I think.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
I'm waiting for Aruna to tell me to start.
No, Bankar, just don't be. Just wait for another 5 minutes, my dear. Then let people join and then we will start. Just wait for 5 minutes, please.
Hello, Aruna.
Hello.
Great. Yeah.
Hello. Hello, Arvind.
Help.
Hello, Arvind.
I can see you there, Leela.
Hi, I can see you now. I've been trying.
Yeah.
Okay.
भैया शुरू हो गया
नहीं शुरू नहीं हुआ है हम अभी थोड़ी देर रुक रहे हैं we just waiting for 5-10 minutes for more friends to join and then we'll start the thing.
पीछे
Very strange way.
You have to have a hand.
It's okay.
Hi, Bankar.
This is Abhimanyu and Sanjeevani. Hi, Aruna.
Hi. How are you?
Hello Abhimanyu. Hello Sanjeev.
Hi.
Hi, Aruna.
How nice to see you, my
Hi,
dear.
Bankar. Bankar's gone off the screen.
I don't know where he
No,
is.
I'm here.
Yes, in another-
We can't see you. Yeah. There you go.
That's better.
Hi.
Hello Sunil.
Hello.
Hello, my dear. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, I can see you. Thanks. Bajrang, I noticed.
Hey, Bankar, how are you?
I didn't do this. Everybody else used to.
Hello, Mr. Raju.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Yeah, well, Mr. Raju, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
So leave the books. This looks like an iPad.
That's an iPad, doesn't matter.
Bankar, how are you?
Now,
Chal raha hai. Yeah, I'm okay.
Everybody's talking to everyone.
Everything is good?
I'm getting nervous seeing more of you up here.
We're not there. I think there's something.
You can have some coffee.
मुझे unmute कर दो सुनील.
Bankar, since when did you start getting nervous?
Naveen, how are you? I haven't seen you for years.
Hi, so good to see you all.
Read those. Share content.
And so good to see Bankar.
talk video. That's on.
Long time.
Yes.
Yours.
Very long.
Arvind, hi.
Hi.
When did I reach?
Sunil, I'm
Right time. 12:47.
Thanks.
Landed at 2:45.
What is this? But you keep doing it.
Yeah, but I don't have all the things. I only have.
Aruna, let's
Bankar,
start. We can't keep waiting.
Share content.
Pankaj, just
Leela.
hold on, just for 5 minutes.
Hi.
Hi, Leela.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Bimla. Hello, Bimla.
Aruna, hi.
Harsh is here.
Harsh is also there? Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, great. How nice.
Visible to people.
Aruna, hi.
Hi. How, Devika?
Hi.
See, show your face. Show your face, my dear.
Bankar,
Hello, Charan.
Hi. Hi, Aruna.
Who's that? I can't see you.
Why did you do this?
Where's Aruna?
Bankar,
Yeah.
Bankar, is this angry young man on the cover you?
The older young man, yeah.
There.
That's how we
Angry-
remember you, Bankar.
I will tell you how. Go to participants.
Arey,
Yes.
I would
No,
say
Aya, go to
handsome young man,
participants.
bhai.
Okay, I remember. I remember. Right click, rename. Rename. Nisha Malhotra कर दो गौरी के. क्या delete क्यों किया? Look this. This work.
Hello.
Tell me when to start, Aruna.
Just hold it for 1 minute, my dear. Just hold it for 1 minute.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, we can start in another 2-3 minutes, but you're not starting it, so don't start immediately.
Who's starting it?
No, you can't. Hold on. Soumya to speak first. Just hold on, please. Manushi, will you please start the program, my dear?
Yes.
Yes.
अच्छा इसमें वो लिखिएगा डायरेक्ट.
Manushi, will you please start?
Yes, I'm starting. I request Soumya to please begin the meeting.
It's an honor for me and a privilege to, as the current CEO and director of the Barefoot College, I don't know how many of you would be aware, but I'm barely 18 months into this organization. I took over from Bankarji in June 2023 as the director and CEO. It hasn't been an easy task to live up to a legend, a hero for most of the people in the development sector and other sectors, a mentor for people who have been associated with him for more than 5 decades, the stellar work that the organization has done. I was joking with him this morning saying, India now is going gaga over incubation and innovation and innovation centers and incubation centers. Barefoot College, probably in the 1970s, when it began, was the earliest incubation center for a whole lot of people who have joined today, many of whose stories I have heard. second hand, third hand from different people who've come to the organization. So while it's a privilege, it's also a Herculean task, living up to his legacy or to be even half the person that he's been will neither be easy for me or not. I don't think I'll achieve it in the next 7 lifetimes of mine. This book that has been written is basically a compilation of articles that Bunker wrote in his 5 decades of work. And I think when the organization turned 50, there was a thought that this book should be put together and it should be put out and shared with people. We didn't manage to do it then. It's taken 3 more years. It's been a labor of love. A lot of, maximum, I've done 0 work for it. But of course, between Heather, Arunaji, the idea was Aruna's, she convinced Bunker. I think he was fairly reluctant. He didn't think that his work warranted a book, but she thought it merited more than 1 book. So between Aruna, Heather, what they've turned out is a fantastic, book which anybody who reads will realize that these were the first generation of people in free India who went to college and then decided to come and serve in rural India. And I know he's known by his Dune School roots and his St. Stephen College roots, his Delhi University roots, but really what Bunker stands for is Tilonia. And I often joke with him that the heart of the king in mythology, in Hindi mythology, is that, maybe even Greek mythology, I don't know, Aruna can correct me, is that it lies in something else, in either a parrot or so anybody who had to get to the king had to first get to the parrot. Bunker's heart and soul resides in Tilonia. And I've realized that in these 18 months. And so, Bunker, this is all yours, the work that you've done. And yeah, I think I'll stop here. I can't say much more, but what you've handed over to me, I hope I will be able to, in the future, hand over to someone who does a stellar job. But I don't think finding a match for you will ever be easy. So with that, I stop and I open up this event. It's a virtual event. We would have loved to do a physical event. Maybe inshallah someday that will happen too. Thank you. Manushi, over to you.
Thank you, Soumya. I now request Bankarji to share his experience and process of the articles and of the book. Bankarji.
This is really Aruna's book. She's the one who put all the love and affection into making this book happen. So thank you, Aruna. In 1968, I got a job from the Catholic Relief Services to dig 500 wells in Ajmer district. That was the time I was exposed to the most extraordinary skills and knowledge that very poor people have. Incidentally, from 1968 to 1971, when I was digging 500 wells, I was also incidentally the national squash champion for 3 years. So I was feeling invincible. I could do anything. Nothing could stop me. In 1972, I started the Barefoot College. It was called a voluntary agency, but no one had any idea what a voluntary agency was. So when I went into the villages and said I'm a voluntary agency, they couldn't figure out what category this fell into. But it was, I started in Tilonia because and I noticed that the problem was water. So I was thinking of walking 500 square miles of 110 villages to do a hydrogeological survey. There is a copy still lying in the library, which is very historic. Every village was covered. and how much water there was and how much possibility of getting more water. That was the first exposure of mine to the villages, 110 villages of Silora block. I started drilling for water in 1973. And I had some people with me, around me, who are now unfortunately expired. But it gave me some idea of the problems this region was facing. And I then wrote about what is a voluntary agency. You know, lots of people didn't understand what category this was. So on lots of articles that are in the book on what I think is a voluntary agency. I was asked to write by Rajiv Gandhi a policy statement on the voluntary agency in the 7th plan. So I said a voluntary agency is, an NGO is not a voluntary agency. That's a negative way of defining positive action. So we defined what a voluntary agency was in the 7th plan, 4 pages of it in volume 2 in 68 to 70. But it was highly objected to by Somaya, who was then the Secretary Planning Commission. And he said we wouldn't accept this in the 7th plan. But then at that time I had a...
If you can come louder, because you know I can't hear so well.
Am I okay? Am I okay? Hello?
Yeah, Banka, we can hear you.
We just need you to be slightly louder, please, Pankajatya.
Okay, I'll get closer.
That's better. Sounded better. Thank you.
So in that 4 pages that I wrote for the 7th plan, I also mentioned the fact that the voluntary sector needed a code of conduct, how they should behave with themselves, how they should behave with the community, how they should interact with government. And that created a furor in the voluntary sector, and they were all highly hostile to the whole idea of a code of conduct. I said, a code of conduct is very simple. If you're living in a village, if you're working in a village, live in a village. Don't live in Delhi. If you're working in with women, then you treat them equally. Don't violate the laws of the country. All this was very harmless, I thought, but it was all very badly received by the older agencies. By the younger agencies, they're all for it. But then the older, big, rich agencies didn't like that at all. But then at least it was the first time that the voluntary sector had a national debate on the code of conduct. We thought we would have a national council of the voluntary sector, but it didn't happen because there's so much resistance and reaction to the sector. Then the Tilonia was a place for me where we could try crazy ideas, new ideas, ideas that didn't work, but we started again. There were many successes and failures in Tilonia, but actually we never gave up. I think the idea was sound. For instance, on rainwater harvesting, we said rainwater harvesting is very important, and you can for recharging the villages, the wells in the villages. We had to collect the rainwater. No one believed that was possible, so we did it in Tilonia. We had a huge 100-feet well, 20 feet wide, and we filled it with rainwater when it rained. And everyone was aghast. They said, this couldn't happen. You're spoiling the groundwater and all that. But now it's become a fixture in Tilonia. So rainwater harvesting for me was absolutely essential in the deserts of Rajasthan. Then what else did I do? What else did I write? I wrote a lot of junk. Oof, my God. It's all in the book. I don't know what people have seen in the book. Anyway, Aruna, I've said enough, I think, no?
It's up to you, Bunker.
No, I've said enough. If anyone wants to ask me questions, I'll be delighted to answer.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I may have gone off the topic.
No, you haven't. It's your book. You haven't got
It's your book, not mine.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's your book. It's full of your articles. Yeah.
Oof. Anyone else wants to ask a question? I'll
Not
be
now, Bunker, but later. Now we hand it over to Manushi.
Okay.
Thank you, Bankarji, for sharing about your process so candidly and for providing us with such important insights. I now request Heather to share her comments as the editor of the book. Heather, over to you.
Me? I think there's positive feedback. Okay. Hello, everybody. If you can't hear me, tell me. Okay. Okay, is that better? Is that louder? Okay. Hello to those of you who know me. Most of you don't, I think. My name's Heather Malcolm. I've been a friend of Bunker's and Aruna's since 1982. I'm currently CEO of the Barefoot College in the UK, which basically means I look after its interests, and I've got a fancy title, but that's about it, really. I was very, very honoured indeed to be asked to help put this anthology together. It has been a labour of love, and it has dominated my life for the past 3 years, as my husband very well knows. I've had masses of generous help from Aruna and Bunker throughout, and many, many other people all over the world, actually. And it's been hugely enjoyable. And I don't know what my life is going to be now it's finished, but that's my problem. As Bunker said, or Aruna said, it was intended to be part of the 50 years celebration. And it's an anthology of articles that have already been published. Most of them were written by Bunker, but several come from other people too, many of them journalists, but not all. And they originally appeared in a very wide range of papers and journals, both Indian ones and international ones. Some of the Indian ones I remember is the Indian Express, India Today, the Deccan Herald. There's also some from foreign papers like the New Zealand Herald, and Youth Times is another Indian paper. And you should be seeing right now a photograph of Bunker, which dates from 1971, I believe. And it's sort of representative of the very first article in the book, which appeared in 1971 in this New Zealand Herald. He was there representing India as the national squash champion. And I loved that article so much. It doesn't really fit into any of the categories that we've got for the book, but I just liked it so much. And the reason I liked it was that it showed how unafraid Bunker was to speak his mind, even at that very, very early age. I think he was about 21. He was, I can't remember, 26, but he was very young then anyway. So that kicks off the anthology, and it's got a section all on its own. The most recent of the articles dates from 2013. Now, for those of you who might remember, that predates the era of the internet. And for that reason, the anthology is a little bit of a journey into the past, and we'll come back to that later. There are 46 articles in all. We've grouped them into themes which seemed appropriate to us at the time. About half of the articles, the first half of the book, most of the articles, they address the context in which the work of Barefoot College was carrying on at that time. So if you buy the book, as I hope you will, and you read the articles, you have to bear in mind that what was going on at that period was real at the time that the article was written. And that means that when you take the articles together, in essence, they're actually a record of SWRC Barefoot College's activity over time. And they illustrate very directly how the work and the ideas of the college evolved as things were learnt and changes happened and governments changed and all sorts of other things. Now, I don't know if you'll remember this either, but round about 2010, by that time, the internet had started to become dominant, and publishing articles in the traditional way became a fairly rare kind of thing to do. And because of this, from 2013 on, we've got QR codes built into the book, and we've got lots of links to lots of videos and online material. And these continue the story and bring it more up to date and more up to a period which you recognize as more like now. And I'm very grateful to our publisher because he gave me freedom to include a lot of photographs, and many of these come from the Barefoot Archive, and some of them come from other sources, but there they are. And each chapter in the book has its own introduction, and some of these serve as a guide to the material and the ideas in that particular chapter, and some add more context. And I have to just give another huge thank you to Aruna, because she did a magnificent job in helping those to get written, and with drawing on her vast knowledge of Tilonia and Barefoot College. So what are the themes? Bunker's hinted at some of them. And for me, a big one that jumped out is just village life and how very different it is from life in the city. I have to say that just about everything I know about India comes from these articles. I am by no means an India expert, and I'm quite happy to be corrected on anything. But because of this difference, Bunker wrote quite a lot about how people who were highly literate and highly educated and had degrees, they couldn't really do much to help rural villages because they didn't understand them. Although sometimes they were arrogant enough to think that they did and try to impose their ideas, but sometimes they could actually do harm, just not intending to, but they could. And that emerges from several of Bunker's articles. And also his belief, as he mentioned earlier, you have to live in a rural village if you're going to understand it, and if you're going to understand the challenges and the hardships that rural people face. So that was one big theme. And another one which sort of links to that is how valuable traditional knowledge and skills are, even though city folk, educated men, often ignore them. Villages have their own professionals, and these can be very, very successful, and village people trust them. And Bunker has also written about the way that you can unite traditional knowledge with modern technology. It can be boosted and updated, and then you've probably got something which is hard to beat. And there's a whole load of other articles that come from the variety of innovations that Barefoot College has tried and tested and developed over the years. And again, Bunker has talked about water and the attempts that he made to dig wells and how much he knew about that. So Barefoot College spent time finding the best ways of bringing drinking water to everyone in a village no matter what their caste was, no matter what their status was. That was very important. And the book also has an article which I like very much about rainwater harvesting in villages in Sikkim, where people said it couldn't be done. But of course, Barefoot College did it. There are articles about establishing schools where village children can learn basic literacy, and schools where they're taught how a democratic society works. This is an idea that led to the famous Children's Parliament. And they were schools which were useful because children could actually get to them easily, and they could access the lessons because the lessons went on in the evening. Another innovation, quite an important one, was the training of village people. These are often young and not particularly highly educated, but they were trained as hand pump mistresses who could maintain and repair hand pumps instead of the professional engineers who would have to come from cities nearby and hardly ever came. They trained barefoot teachers. They trained, everybody knows now, they also trained mature women as solar engineers. And there are articles about the promotion of a healthy environment and many, many more. I can't go into detail. I don't have the time for that. But you'll just have to read the book. I think I've done enough talking by now. I hope I've given you a flavour of the book. In a moment, we're going to like you to jump into a time machine with us, because we're going to show you something that will take you back. But first, I think we might have with us today the author of one of the articles in the book, Dr. Arti Soni. So Dr. Soni, if you're online, I wonder, can you join me and tell us a bit about your time as a doctor when you were based in SWRC Tilonia? I'd be very grateful if you could. Thank you.
Arti? Arti? I don't think she's here.
Let's give her a call and ask if she's there.
Okay.
She can talk later. Let's carry on.
That's what
In that case, we could. In that case, shall we move to the clip, and we'll look in this film. It's a short clip from a film that the BBC made in 1983, I think, a part of a series called Wheels of Fire, and it's well, I think it's great. You'll have to judge for yourself when you see the clip that we're going to show. I think it's only 5 minutes, isn't it, Aruna? Here we go.
Rajasthan, one of the driest, most barren areas of India, and one of the poorest. Of the 35 million people who live here, more than half can't get enough to eat. For many people, there's been little chance of any real improvement in their lives. But this place, the Social Work and Research Centre in the village of Tilonia, has brought them new hope. The centre's been running now for 10 years. It's one place where the local people aren't afraid to meet, and one place they can feel is their own. The local people have been joined by experts from the city. They're working together to try to break out of the vicious circle of poverty that has settled on the land, and to introduce some new programs for rural development.
It's got, obviously, it's not perfect right now, but it was able to extract. Then it was able to say, okay, now it's able to handle the comments.
Tell the local people what to do. At Tilonia, the experts live and work with the people. Here at the centre, people are being helped to help themselves. They're being involved in deciding their own future. The centre believes that this is the secret of successful development. The director is Sanjit Roy.
After doing a bit of traveling in India and seeing some projects, I felt that it was very necessary to professionalize rural development. There were far too many projects in India which did not keep this aspect in mind when they were doing development work in a rural area. So I felt that we should mobilize expertise available in the university, in the colleges, like doctors, teachers, engineers, social workers, geologists, to come and live together in a village setting and provide this expertise to develop the rural areas.
The professional skills of the experts are used in an enormous range of activities, from drilling wells to running nursery schools, from health centres to craft workshops, from leather cooperatives to family planning. And most important of all, the professionals try to make sure that all these activities reach the people who need them most.
When we first started in 72, we wanted to develop villages in which all the communities were involved. But later on, we realized that these sort of services were being used only by the richer sections of the community. So we took a deliberate, conscious decision to isolate some members, the dominant members of the community, and provide this expertise only to develop vulnerable social groups like marginal farmers, small farmers, rural artisans, Harijans, the untouchables, rural women, agricultural laborers, and so on.
So with this clip, we've got an idea of how Bankar and Aruna started and how they looked and how Tilonia looked. For those who would like to watch the whole film, it is called BBC Wheels of Fire, and it is available, a clip of it is available on YouTube as well. We move forward for the 50 years celebration of SWC, along with Aruna and many others, created a FUD, a scroll through which everyone got a chance to speak and express. Ramnivas ji will now present the theme song of the FUD. Ramnivas ji.
Manushi, can I request that we mute all and then unmute Aruna only?
Yes, I will do that.
तिलोनिया गाँव से रे देश दुनिया में बढ़ी रियो काम कि सुनी लो भाई बहना देश दुनिया में बढ़ी कियो काम कि सुनी लो भाई बहना तो छोटे से गांव से ये काम आगे बढ़ा देश दुनिया में फैला आम लोगों के साथ मिलकर
Thank you, Ramnivas ji. Moving forward, Aruna worked at SWRC from 1975 to 1983. And as the oldest alumni present today in the gathering, I invite her to speak. Aruna ji, over to you, please.
Thank you, Manushi. I won't bore you to tears, but very briefly go over what I think has been seminal contributions by the by SWRC Tilonia to development and to all our growth. And Bankar and I have always had differences in perspectives differences and everything. So you might find my story a bit different from the others. We've had a series of cultural interactions. It's not been an isolated center in which we only looked at development and poverty in economic terms and did not look at the culture of things. So we had a series of very eminent photographers come. Today, we will show you, we've seen some of Sunil Gupta's photographs already, but this is Raghu Rai's photograph. Raghu Rai came to Tilonia in 1972 to capture these photographs of bunker for the New Statesman, for the Junior Statesman. And so this photograph, which is on the cover, was taken by Raghu Rai. Later on, we had Sunil Gupta come and spend his internship with us for more than 7 or 8 months, maybe 10 months. And he took photographs of people cutting their crops or doing various things. And after that, and before that, we had Pablo Bartholomew come as a young man of 18 to take photographs in this center. So it's not only been a question of photographs. Manushi, I think you're showing other photographs. Can you just show the sequence, my dear? This is Raghu Rai, and after that you have, can I see the black and white photographs? That's Bunker's mother, who was a formidable lady who came and stayed with us. And she used to be, once she came, the kitchen staff used to be terrified because she used to go and examine their nails to see whether they were clean or not. And actually it was quite an interactive and very volatile session between the way you look at cleanliness in villages and the way you look at cleanliness in cities, or in the affluent notion of cleanliness and the poor's notion of cleanliness. So that is Mrs. Roy, otherwise known as Ma, who came to Tilonia, and really amazingly, she came and stayed with us and weathered all the storms, ate the terrible food that used to be cooked in the mess, but enjoyed it. So this is Sunil's photograph of Ma when she and Sunil were together with us. This is Sharda Jain and Vinay Jain, great friends of ours in Jaipur. Sharda is now 93 and Vinay is in his 60s, but they established us in Rajasthan. Because we went to their home and stayed there in Jaipur, we weathered the political storms and the social storms. And today Harsh is with us. We met Dr. P.K. Sethi and so many others through Sharda and Vinay. And they rooted us in Rajasthan in a very fundamental sense. So this is a photograph again taken by Sunil Gupta. Next one, please, Manushi. Manushi. This is taken by Pablo of the village health worker in Tilonia. Now Om is in his late 60s, who's giving the injection here, but he brought in a very different concept. He brought in the concept of barefoot photographers in the first instance. He gave cameras to local fellows, not women at that time, only the men, and they took photographs. And there was a very interesting slideshow in the evening when they were totally aghast because they had no concept of a camera which could invade their privacy. And some men were found helping their wives in the kitchen, and all hell broke loose in the village at the loss of manhood of the men. How could they go and help their wives in the kitchen? So it has been all kinds of things in interactions between photography, visuals, issues, cultural discussions, and so on. So I thought I'd bring some of them to you. Is there another one, Manushi? Oh, that's it.
Oh, that's all.
That's all. But we've had series of other things. But I cannot end this intervention without talking about the tremendous cross currents and cross-sectional intersectional connections between theatre and Tilonia. And National School of Drama and Tripurari Sharma came here, spent a lot of time working on theatre. We have some excellent photographs again taken by Sunil Gupta of this group in London, but we don't have time to show you all that today. But we got photography, music, theatre, everything together, and it established a culture of development in which we not only looked at culture as a means of communication, but culture as a means of political statement. And it was very, very important because today, so many of us have come out of Tilonia, and all those who have learned from Tilonia in Rajasthan and elsewhere use theater for struggle, use music for struggle, use all kinds of things we learn from here for struggle and protest. And even today, the painting that you see behind me is being painted by Aban Raza, and it's a painting of MKSS protest in our area, which she painted and gave us. So it's a question of intermingling cultural expression with political statement. And that also was spawned by Tilonia to a very great extent. Tilonia also, Bunker was we all thought he was quite crazy, because if anyone went to him and said, we have an idea, he would say, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to put it in place? And they would say crazy things, and he said, oh, all right, go ahead. And we used to quarrel with him. And we used to say, how can you allow anyone and everyone to do whatever they want? And there were some crazy things, like the windmill that never worked, the fish pond that never happened. But if Bunker had not done this, so many interesting ideas and young people would have never found space. And it was a wonderful thing that in Tilonia you could go with an absolutely mad idea and get place to experiment with it and see whether it worked or whether it didn't. And dissent and disagreement, because Bunker and I have always disagreed on so many issues, and there's been dissent always. And there was public space for dissent. We discussed, argued in the public space, giving an opportunity for people to grow up with the idea that dissent and disagreement are natural phenomena, and that you deal with them, and it's not necessary to become enemies or inimical to each other because you have dissent and disagreement, but also because it set a trend which lasts even till today. Because if you disagree with something, you can do it, and set the pattern of participatory development in place in Tilonia. Even today, so many people in this organization work together to promote the ideas. And I'm going to quickly introduce you to 3 or 4. They'll all speak for 1 minute each. मैं हिंदी में बात करूंगी, जो कि ये सबके भागीदारी के साथ जो पूरा यहाँ का प्रयास हुआ है, वो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण रहा है. तो मैं अब 2-3 जनों को बुलाऊंगी. पहले मैं बुलाऊंगी लक्ष्मण सिंह को, जो यहाँ पे जियोलॉजिस्ट भी है और वाटर डिवाइनर भी है. वो अपना, मगर वो सोलर इंजीनियर्स के साथ भी काम किए हैं, तो वो अपना 2 मिनट में अपने बात रखेंगे. उसके बाद मगन कंवर बोलेगी. लक्ष्मण सिंह.
नमस्ते, मैं लक्ष्मण सिंह हूँ और पिछले करीब 35 साल से काम कर रहा हूँ, और उस तरीके का काम मैंने कभी देखा नहीं. वो मुझे बहुत आनंद ये है कि हम जिनके लिए सोचा गया था, वॉलंटरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का रियल फॉर्मेशन हुआ है, वो लोगों तक कैसे पहुंचा. इसलिए मैं सबके साथ मिल के ये हम उस लेवल पे पहुंचे हैं जो कोई अभी तक कोशिश नहीं की है, कि उनके साथ मिलके काम करें, उनके एम्पावरमेंट करें, उनका स्किल को करें, ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज को यूज करते हुए उन तक पहुंचाया जाए. तो ये सारी चीजें ऐसा हमें लगा. जैसे पानी वाला बात हुई, तो पानी में पहले ये माना जाता था कि बहुत ही सोफिस्टिकेटेड इंजीनियर के अलावा तो दूसरा काम पानी का कर ही नहीं सकता. तो ऐसे लोग जो गांव से निकले हैं, सब कुछ किया है. तो जैसे जमीन से पानी निकालना है, जमीन से पानी को खोजना है, उसको लोगों तक पहुंचाना है, और ऐसे तबके को पहुंचाना जो कभी उस व्यवस्था में है ही नहीं, तो वहां तक पहुंचाना ये बहुत बड़ी बात थी. साथ साथ ये हुआ कि पानी पहुंचा दिया, तो पानी पहुंचाने के लिए उनको मेंटेनेंस कैसे किया जाए. तो मेंटेनेंस के लिए हैंडपंप मिस्ट्री का ट्रेनिंग वो बहुत ही सरप्राइज और मिराकल था कि कोई मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं था कि हैंडपंप मिस्ट्री एक हैंडपंप को ठीक कर सकता है. तो ये पूरे राजस्थान में इस तरीका का रिवोल्यूशन यूनिसेफ को हटा के किया गया. तो लोगों को लगा कि तिलोनिया अपने वॉलंटियर जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो बेयरफुट में किस तरीके से लोगों को एम्पावर किया है. दूसरा, ये एनर्जी वाले पार्ट की सोलर इंजन जहां से बेयरफुट शुरू होता है, तो बेयरफुट जहां लग गया उसमें बहुत बड़ी ताकत चली है. चाहे महिला हो, चाहे प्रोफेशनल बेयरफुट प्रोफेशनल हो गए. तो बेयरफुट कॉलेज को चलाने के लिए बेयरफुट प्रोफेशनल ने अपनी तरीके से 50 साल का एक बहुत सिस्टमैटिक सॉल्यूशन दिया है वर्ल्ड वाइड. तो मुझे बहुत बड़ी खुशी है, बहुत बड़ा कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन है कि ये किताब के रूप में पंकज साहब का 50 साल का काम एक किताब के फॉर्म में आया है. हमें बहुत आभारी हैं कि पब्लिशर के भी हैं, ऑथर के भी हैं, बहुत सारे लोग.
मैं अभी मगन कंवर को आमंत्रित करती हूँ। मगन सोलर इंजीनियरिंग की ट्रेनर है, ये बहुत सारे महिलाओं को ट्रेनिंग दे चुकी है, वो अपनी कहानी खुद बताएगी। How the whole solar engineer, the solar mamas, the idea of the solar engineer arose in Tilonia. Actually, it began with Amita, will you please mute your phone? It began with Pierre Amadou coming here in the late 80s, early 90s. Then Kiran Sidhu giving them training on how to assemble the circuits. But the people who have taken it forward are rural women. So I'd like to ask Magan अपनी बात बताएगी, ट्रेनिंग कैसे देती है और कहाँ गई है, किस किस देश में गई है, क्या क्या करी है, तो थोड़ा मगन बोलेगी। मगन जोर से बोलेगी।
नमस्ते, मेरा नाम मगन कंवर है और मैं 20 साल से सोलर में काम कर रही हूँ। मैंने 6 महीना का ट्रेनिंग लिया और मैं 6 महीने में सीख के जैसे चार्ज कंट्रोलर बनाना, लालटेन बनाना, सर्किट बनाना, वायरिंग करना, टेस्टिंग करना, रिपेयर करना, ये करके मैंने सीखा और मैं देश विदेश की महिला को मैं ट्रेनिंग दे रही हूँ। मैं कम पढ़ी लिखी महिला हूँ, मैं तीसरी क्लास पास हूँ और मैं बेरफुट सोलर इंजीनियर बन के मैं बेरफुट कॉलेज में ही सीखा, सब जो भी सीखा मैं बेरफुट कॉलेज में ही सीखा। यहाँ सीख के मैं देश विदेश की महिला को ट्रेनिंग दे रही हूँ। 96 कंट्री की महिला सीख के अपना गांव में काम कर रही है और अलग जैसे राज्य की महिला है, 13 राज्य में हमारा सोलर का काम चल रहा है बेरफुट कॉलेज का, वहां पे भी महिला सीख के ट्रेनिंग लेके और वहां पे गांव को रोशन किया है। और ये बेरफुट कॉलेज में ही जैसे हमने जो भी सीखा यहाँ बेरफुट कॉलेज में ही सीखा और मेरे को ये भी पता नहीं था सोलर लाइट क्या काम करती है, कैसे बनाया जाता है, पर मैं जो भी सीखी मैं बेरफुट कॉलेज में ही सीखी और आगे भी महिला को सिखा के और इसी दिशा में मैं गई थी। सेनेगल, तंजानिया और भूटान की महिला को भी मैं वहां पे ट्रेनिंग देके आई हूँ और मैं बेरफुट सोलर इंजीनियर हूँ। और जब भी ये महिला आती है तो ये सोलर का ही काम नहीं, अलग अलग प्रकार का जैसे हमारे बेरफुट कॉलेज में अलग काम चलता है, उनको भी हम जानकारी देते हैं। जैसे हथेली का जैसे पेचवर्क का काम है, सोलर का काम है, इसको सिखाया जाता है और इस तरीके से महिला को सिखा के वो अपना गांव में रोशन किया है और बहुत ही खुश है। और अभी भी मणिपुर की 30 महिला ट्रेनिंग लेके कल ही गई है, वो अपना गांव में काम करेगी और सोलर को आगे बढ़ाएगी। थैंक यू।
This is not only the story of Magan Kanwar, but there are so many of them. She's just a representative of the innumerable numbers of solar women engineers who have taken one fantastic dream forward of blending technology with women. Now I'll call Sunita, who is actually going to tell her own story, but she does water testing. And I'm afraid I am completely illiterate when I stand in front of Sunita. You will understand why. Sunita?
सभी को राम राम। मेरा नाम संगीता है, मैं सुनीता है और 2016 से मैं तिलोनिया बेरफुट में आई थी तो एक तगारी उठाती थी, कारखाने पे काम कर रही थी, तो मुझे यहाँ पे लाया गया कि आपको पानी में काम करना। पहले मेरे आरओ की ट्रेनिंग थी क्योंकि हमारे जमाने में लाइट नहीं थी, तो लाइट ही नहीं देखी तो मैं आरओ की मशीन कहाँ से देखती, तो बोला आपको ये चलाना है फिल्टर करके और ये टंकी स्टोर करके पानी पिलाना है कैंपस में। मेरे लिए बहुत ये कठिन था क्योंकि मैं लाइट नहीं देखी तो आरओ का चलाना कैसे करना, तो धीरे धीरे आरओ सीख लिया। उसके बाद बोला टेस्टिंग भी सीखना है आपको, तो 200 गामो सिलोरा ब्लॉक से हम सैंपल लाके हमारे लैब पे जैसे 5 टेस्ट करते थे, टीडीएस, पीएच, क्लोराइड, फ्लोराइड, हार्डनेस। टेस्ट तो मैंने सीख लिया, लेकिन सिरिंज का 1.40 200 की है, तो ये टोटल में कर नहीं पाती थी क्योंकि मैं पढ़ी हुई नहीं थी, तो मैं टोटल कैसे करूं। धीरे धीरे मैंने ये सीखा कि मैं अब 40-80 हो गए, तो मेरे लिए तो हार्डनेस एक सिरिंज 400 की है, 1.160 का है और एक लाइन 32 की है, तो ये मेरे लिए बहुत इजी था। तो बोले नाना जी ने आपको भाई साहब सीखना पड़ेगा। मैंने ये सीखा और अभी सोलर मम्मा को भी ट्रेनिंग दी है 2 टीमों को। और बाहर भी मैं एनटीपीसी उड़ती चील देखी थी, लेकिन नाना जी के राज में मैं एरोप्लेन में भी घूम के आई। मतलब मैं संस्था को इतने धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि मैं कुछ सीख के, और मैं गांवों में अभी जल मित्र का काम कर रही हूँ टेस्टिंग का, तो मेरी जैसी महिलाएं को ये टेस्टिंग की ट्रेनिंग दे रही हूँ। और अभी जो लाइब्रेरी स्कूल, सरकारी स्कूल, उनमें भी जाके हम वर्कशॉप करते हैं और टेस्टिंग करती हूँ। मैं खुद कर सकती हूँ और ट्रेनिंग दे रही हूँ। धन्यवाद।
Sunita, I just am amazed with all the technical knowledge that she's absorbed so easily. And they say that women can't understand technology and don't take to it. It's amazing how much she's done. Now, may Kailash Kanwar, I'll invite Kailash Kanwar who's been with the Tilonia Bazaar for so long, and her commitment to the market, understanding the market, transferring market taste and market preferences to rural technology of stitching, and is phenomenal. And you all know about the Tilonia Bazaar, which comes to Triveni Kala Sangam and goes to Bangalore and goes everywhere else. But behind that is a poor artisan who needs sustenance, and there is a woman like Kailash Kanwar who needs to be there to sustain it. Kailash?
नमस्ते, मैं कैलाश कुमार। नमस्ते, और मैं हथेली में काम करती हूँ क्योंकि बंकर तिलोनिया बाजार में काम करती हूँ। मैंने यहीं आके काम सीखा था, जो भी काम सीखा है, जो क्योंकि दस्तकार है। आज 30-40 हजार दस्तकारों को काम करके और निकले हैं। बेलतोता है, सिलाई का है, अप्लीके का काम है, हाथ का काम है, और फुंदी बनाना जो औरतें बुढ़ी 80 साल की है वो भी बनाती है। और राजपूत महिलाओं में भी राजपूती हूँ। राजपूत महिलाओं को किस तरीके से बाहर निकाला था, क्योंकि उस टाइम में आज के 40-50 साल पहले तो बहुत पर्दा प्रथा था, तो उसको संघर्ष करके बाहर निकलना और उससे काम, औरतों को काम देना और दलित महिलाओं को काम देना, उनके साथ काम करना, उनके साथ रहना। एक समाज जैसे आज कोई पता नहीं चलता है कि कौन दलित है, कौन मुस्लिम है, कौन राजपूत है। हम इस बेयरफुट कॉलेज में यही काम सीखा है, और बंकर साहब ने और अरुणा नानी जी ने यही काम सिखाया था। सब मिलके काम करते हैं, और आज की तारीख में बहुत सारी औरतें हैं। हम एग्जीबिशन लगाते हैं, बेंगलोर भी गए, दिल्ली भी गए, बम्बई भी गए, और अमेरिका भी गए थे। न्यू कॉन्फ्रेंस था उसके अंदर, और हमें अवार्ड भी मिला है हथेली संस्था को, तिलोनिया बाजार को, क्योंकि हम अच्छा काम करते हैं, तो इसलिए 3-4 अवार्ड भी मिले हमें। नमस्ते।
I hope you're not bored, because I thought you should see the barefooters, of whom Bankar is so proud, and who actually make this college a barefoot college. So I thought you should have a glimpse of them. And the last of them now is Ramkaran, who can also speak some English if he feels like, but speak in Hindi as well, who joined this organization in 1975 when he was barely 16, teaching adult literacy to women who didn't do parda with him, because the older men went, they used to cover their faces. But because Ramkaran was this young college, school student at that time, they didn't do parda. So Ramkaran will speak a bit about his work with women and his work with water.
Where is that?
सभी को नमस्कार और प्रणाम। वर्ष 1972 में आदरणीय बंकर जी ने इतना समग्र सोच को लेकर इस संस्था की शुरुआत की है, और आज मैं यहाँ बैठा हुआ और बोल रहा हूँ, सब उन्हीं की देन है। उन्होंने मंच और मौका दिया है, और ऐसे पिछड़े लोग जो हाशिए पे थे, जिनकी आवाज नहीं सुन रही थी, उनको मौका और मंच देने से आज हम इतने सक्षम बने हैं। आज समाज में महिला और पुरुष, लेकिन महिलाओं की जो आधी जनसंख्या है उसके बारे में तो कोई सोचता ही नहीं। जब भी हम विकास की बात करते हैं तो पुरुषों का ही बात करके, जबकि हम महिलाओं को हैं। लेकिन इस संस्था ने और बंकर साहब ने इन सभी को, महिलाओं के लिए, बच्चों के लिए, यंग के लिए, वृद्धों के लिए एक समग्र सोच को लेकर इस संस्था में हर एक काम को एक इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच को लेकर काम शुरुआत किया है, जिसमें पानी और महिला, क्योंकि पानी महिलाओं के साथ में जुड़ा हुआ है, पीने का पानी है वो महिलाएं लाती है, उनको सुगम कैसे करें, उनकी परिश्रम, उनका जितना भी टाइम वेस्ट जा रहा है, उनको कितना परिश्रम करना पड़ रहा है, उससे बचने के लिए इन्होंने गांव-गांव में पाइपलाइन लगाना, महिला हैंडपंप के मिस्त्री बनाना, महिला रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग के लिए इंजीनियर बनाना, बैरफुट टीचर महिला बनाना, बैरफुट डॉक्टर महिला बनाना, और इन महिलाओं को इतना स्पेस देकर आज इस 50% आबादी को भी बराबर लाने की कोशिश की है। इसी के साथ राइट्स के ऊपर भी बहुत बंकर साहब ने बहुत काम किया। 1981 में एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एक केस किया जिसमें समान काम के लिए समान मजदूरी मिले और महिलाओं को भी अपना हक पूरा मिले, जबकि यहाँ पर गांव में पुरुष को ज्यादा महिला को कम मिलता था, महिला को कमजोर मानते थे, पुरुष को ताकतवर मानते थे कि हैंडपंप की लोरिंग कैसे उठाएगी, कैसे ये काम करेगी। तो 1981 में समान काम समान मजदूरी के लिए महिलाओं का मुद्दा उठाया, जो आज केस है, जो जिसमें नाम है संजीत रॉय वर्सेस स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ऑफ राजस्थान का केस है, जिसमें जस्टिस पीएन भगवती, जस्टिस आरएस पाठक डबल बेंच ने लैंडमार्क जजमेंट दिया है, जो आज उसको लेबर कोर्ट में अपनी मजदूरी के लिए मजदूर इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन करते हुए और इसका स्पष्टीकरण और जस्टिफिकेशन देते हुए कई मजदूरों को अपना हक और अधिकार मिलता है और पूरी मजदूरी मिलती है। तो महिलाएं आज भी हमारी संस्था में 50% महिलाएं हैं, जो महिला बैरफुट डॉक्टर है, महिला इंजीनियर है, महिला सोलर कुकर इंजीनियर है, महिला मेसन है। तो ये सब महिलाओं को हक और अधिकार दिया है और इस आधार पे ये किताब हमारे लिए और आने वाली पीढ़ी के लिए एक पथ प्रेरणा का काम करेगी, हमारा मार्गदर्शन करेगी और भावी पीढ़ी इस किताब को पढ़कर अपनी सोच समझ बनाकर और अपनी शिक्षा ग्रहण करते हुए समाज के लिए एक अच्छा शुभ चिंतक, एक नागरिक के रूप में काम करने के लिए सिद्ध होगा। धन्यवाद।
Ramnivas looks after the communication section, in which traditional musicians from castes which are probably called Dalit castes now, they're all Dalits. He is himself a Dalit and he runs this and coordinates this section. And he is not only that, he's a lyric writer. He's also the communicator. He hasn't brought his puppet because we don't have time today, but he's also a marvelous maker of puppets. And he will himself tell you the puppets he's made and the things he's done, and he'll end with a small song. We'll just take 3 minutes and we'll wind up. But we didn't think it was appropriate to talk about the book without the characters in the book coming and saying something about what their lives are like. Ramnivas.
कुछ दिक्कत हुई है, रुक गया।
कम्युनिकेशन सेक्शन जो हम वहाँ 5-6 साथी लोग अब मिलके काम करते हैं, हमने यही सीखा यहाँ भी। तो पहले जब काम की शुरुआत हुई मेरी, तो यहाँ अकाउंटेंट का काम मिला, जो मैं सोच भी नहीं सकता था कि मैं ये कर सकता हूँ, क्योंकि इतना पढ़ा लिखा नहीं था। अकाउंटेंट बना तो लगा कि जर्नी बहुत तगड़ी चली है, क्योंकि लोग गांव में बाबूजी कहते थे, पर मन में कुछ लड़ाइयां चल रही थी कि अपने समाज में भेदभाव की तरीके और ऊपर नीचा मानने का तरीका, इससे कैसे लड़े, क्योंकि वो तो रास्ता पूरा नहीं था। तो फिर मैं कम्युनिकेशन में आया, और कम्युनिकेशन में इसलिए कि एक कठपुतली से अपना बात का सटायर के रूप में कहना, सवाल कोई है, पीने का पानी नहीं है, या स्वास्थ्य का मुद्दा है, या मानव अधिकार की बात है, महिला अधिकार की बात है, बाल अधिकार की बात है, तमाम सारी चीजों को रखने के लिए ये मीडिया पावरफुल लगा। और हमारी संस्कृति में भी है कि कहानियां कहने से हम सीखते हैं, और वो क्योंकि पपेट करिए, गुस्ताखी माफ हो, हम नहीं कहते पपेट करिए। तो हमारा जोखिम चाचा जो है वो यहाँ के नरेटर पपेट है। ही इज मच पॉपुलर देन बंकर रॉय, बिकॉज ही इज टेलिंग टू द पीपल व्हाट बंकर एंड बैरफुट कॉलेज डूइंग फॉर कम्युनिटी। तो वो एक हमारा ब्रांड एम्बेसडर हो गया है। वो खूब उसका भारतीय डाक विभाग ने उसको स्पेशल कवर पे छापा कि एक इस तरह की हमारी जो महज यहाँ कठपुतली मानी जाती थी, उस कठपुतली ने ठेठ गांव ढाणी से लेके पूरे देश भर में अलग अलग जगहों में जाके और अब्रॉड भी जाके पपेट ने तिलोनिया की इमेज को आगे बढ़ाया। तो पपेट और स्ट्रीट थिएटर जो है यहाँ का, या अलग अलग तरीके के वर्कशॉप हुए, त्रिपुरारी जी ने हमें बताया, कोमल कोठारी जी के सानिध्य में यहाँ लोक उत्सव हुए, तमाम सारे लोक कलाकार यहाँ आए, एक दूसरे से हमने सीखा, लोक कलाओं को भी जाना और यहाँ की सीख को मिला के हमने आज की व्यवस्था पर सटायर करने के लिए पपेट शो और गीतों का सहारा हम लेते हैं। तो लोक उत्सव यहाँ तमाम सारे राणा, दमामी, नट, मिरासी, कालबेलिया, बेरुपिया, भोपा, मारवाड़ी खेल वाले, गवरी खेल वाले, लंगा, मांगणियार, बहुत सारे लोग जो अलग अलग गांवों में बसते हैं, पर विद्वान लोग हैं इन चीजों की, उनके पास धरोहर है, समझ है, ज्ञान है, उस ज्ञान को यहाँ शेयर किया गया है एक दूसरे को प्रोत्साहन देने के लिए। तो तमाम सारी ये बातें भी हुई और इससे हम सीखे और सिखाए। तो ये हमारा तिलोनिया का खास तौर से काम रहा और हमने बहुत सारी चीजों पे छोटी छोटी चीजें रखे, जैसे पानी के अगर था तो उसपे पानी का सवाल, मीठे पानी का सवाल, तेरा भी सवाल बेड़ा मेरा भी सवाल, इस तरह के पानी पे बात कर दी। सोलर का अगर मुद्दा आया तो हमने कह दिया कि ये सोलर को उजाड़ो सारी रात दुनिया देख रही, बेड़ा एशिया सु आवे अफ्रीका की कावे। तो ये सारे ऐसे मिलजुल के कैसे, जो हम भाषा नहीं कुछ नहीं पर मिलके सीखते हैं एक दूसरे से और फिर काम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। तो इस तरीके से हम सीखने के अवसर हमें मिले और आइडिया आगे बढ़ा।
I'll just wind up by saying that Tilonia also brought to everyone here the famous writer Vijayadan Deta, the famous cultural historian Komal Kothari, brought together various kinds of people who had very special gifts and created an aura of cultural exchange which was very, very special, and the Lokutsa, which Ramnivas mentioned. I'm going to say bye now because my role was to bring the barefooters to you, and I've done that. Now I hand over to Manushi, and Manushi will hand over to Nikhil, and we'll have some more speakers who will speak in English.
Thank you, Dida, for introducing the gathering to the barefooters, and people in the audience are also very happy, as we can see from the comments, to hear from them, and also for sharing the very interesting anecdotes from Tilonia. Moving forward, I now invite Nikhil ji, who has been a friend and has been with Pankaj ji and Aruna ji over the years, to take this forward for the next few minutes. Nikhil ji, over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me okay, Manushi?
Yes.
Yeah. So we are going to have two Harshes speak, and Shankar will be the only person. I think those who are listening from abroad and those who don't follow Hindi will have had trouble, but it was an extremely important set of voices. And as Aruna placed it in those three kinds of frameworks, I have been part of where Bunker has dissented with our work sometimes, and we have dissented with his work sometimes, but with deep respect for each other's work. So that idea of a dissent within, of wanting to reach the same kind of place, is something I have experienced from the sidelines for many, many years. Tilonia's approach has been very different from MKSS's approach. Aruna's approach has been different from Bunker's. But within Tilonia, there are so many with this variety of approaches. And if we see every chapter of the book, and if we see every person who spoke here like a chapter in and of themselves, it really shows the vast amount of body of work that has been done over 50 years. Stick it out in a village for 50 years, give people a chance to do what they want to do, and you have the results that you have, this extraordinary body of work. Harsh Mandar came here as a young man also. If he is ready to speak briefly, just spontaneously, 3 to 5 minutes, and then Harsh Sethi will come, and then Shankar will give us a little bit of the third perspective from Devdungri and MKSS, and we'll hear a little bit more. Harsh, are you there? Ready to come? Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here, Bunker. It's just absolutely wonderful to join so many of your admirers and friends. I recall a long time ago. I was 19 years old. I remember studied in St. Stephen's, Delhi School of Economics, but I felt I wasn't learning about the India that I wish to learn, understand, and serve. And that is what brought me first to Tilonia. Bunker was already a figure that so many of us looked up to, those months that I spent in Tilonia were months of inspiration and learning that have stayed with me all my life. Bunker, actually, I think more than most people in my generation, was able to, for people of the middle classes, people of relative privilege, for us to understand rural life, its challenges, its deprivations, but also its strengths and capacities, and the few people we met just before this represent actually Bunker's ability to recognize, and I think with Aruna in the early years, they recognize the wisdom and the capacities of people who've not had the same opportunities of formal education that many of us have, and demonstrated what they could accomplish. So for many reasons, Bunker, you were a hero to us to me when I was 19 years old, and you remain one all of these years later, and I look forward to reading your book, learning from your learning of rural India, and how do we build an India that is more equal and just and kind. I think we must pay attention to your words and will benefit from it. So, all good wishes and my admiration and my respect and my affection to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Harsh. Harsh himself has written so many books, and Harsh was, before he went into the IAS, had come to Tilonia. We got a message from someone, Vijay Kumar from Andhra Pradesh, who said that, from the Andhra cadre, who said that he got his news of having got through into the IAS while he was visiting Tilonia. And we know of many, many IAS officers, not just because of Aruna, but separately, who have spent time and been inspired by Tilonia. I think if you read the book, there'll be a lot that many of us will debate and argue with Bunker, but that's what Bunker is. And therefore, this is really so much of a richer contribution. Harsh Sethi, who I think is one example of the argumentative Indian himself. We look forward to him. Harsh, have you joined? Harsh Sethi. And Harsh Sethi, have you joined yet? If not, we can go to Shankar and then come back to Harsh Sethi. The number of people who have joined, when I look through the names, is really quite itself a tribute of people over these last 50 years who have contributed themselves in so many ways in so many parts of the country. And they are young and there are older ones, but there are many who have this body of work themselves. Harsh, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Nikhil, and my best to Bunker and Aruna and everyone there at Tilonia. Now, I have only 2 or 3 small things to add to the many things that all of you have said. Like many others, given my age, I have observed Tilonia for close to 50 years, sometimes by visiting, more often in my conversations with Aruna and Pankaj, which have been more in the past and little less occasion now. But there are three things which struck me about Tilonia. In whatever little I understood about the world of voluntary agencies, NGOs, the upsurge of middle-class Indians wanting to understand a different India in the 70s, which is very much part of my generation. And like I think Harsh Mandar pointed out, Bankar was already a figure which loomed large in the consciousness of many people who were a little uneasy with what was going on, didn't quite know what to do or not to do, but thought there was something interesting happening around Bankar and around Tilonia. Now, more than the actual work done in Tilonia, the three things which struck me and have remained with me over these last 4 or 5 decades. One is the ability to move away from a greater reliance of urban experts to people from the village or from the neighborhood, believing implicitly that they have both the skills and the ability to be able to both define what needs to be done and to be able to carry that out. Now, this shift from a reliance on middle-class professionals, which was a mark of Tilonia in its first 5 or 7 years, to me represented something quite different from what other enterprises initiated by people like Bankar had done. That's the first. The second is that rather than expand the work in Tilonia by bringing in a lot of people and doing lots of things there, I think Bankar intuitively or otherwise understood that too much diversity of opinion will not let a small organization function cohesively. And therefore, there was some kind of encouragement to people after having spent some time in Tilonia to go to other regions and to do their own thing. The difference being not just the fact that this was being used as a training ground for people wanting to try out other stuff, but that there was a kind of larger network established of support in which I think Bankar played an extremely important role. Because in the initial stages, small organizations did not have the recognition, did not know how to write proposals, did not know how to acquire funding, needed a bit of hand-holding, needed inputs from other organizations. And I think that the network that SWRC, it used to be called SWRC Tilonia rather than Barefoot College in those days, managed to establish was again something quite unusual and a kind of way in which you can expand your reach without necessarily yourself becoming very much larger. And I think that lesson is a lesson which both other organizations, many of whom became very, very huge, or even actually the government in its development program can understand that one centralized program run all over the place is of very little consequence in any time horizon. But being able to distill some general principles and to apply them in your own style, in your own area, at your own speed, with your own set of people, and with your own notions of relationships would be a much more stable one. And I think this is Tilonia's relatively unique contribution to the world of developmental activism. Let me end by saying I'm not an activist. I have not worked in any village or in any tribal area. I've had many friends who've done it. And let me end by saying that while many of them, like Nikhil said, disagreed with Bankar, often were very critical of him, but I have very rarely heard from anyone negative comments, both about the work and about the person. There is always an order of respect while not quite understanding or not quite agreeing with what Bunker and earlier SWRC and now the Barefoot College are doing. And I think that notion of mutual respect without pulling down other people trying out their own way of doing things is again a culture and a characteristic that we need to emulate, more so since it is in such short supply in these somewhat more fraught times. Thank you, Nikhil.
Thanks so much, Harsh. The lessons you present and the processes that you have recognized and highlighted, we are seeing the results of it all over. And I think the way that you've talked about it, that it can go all over and have its own, lead to its own wellspring in a sense, is really something that we will continue to see for the years to come. Shankar, आप वहाँ यदि हैं अभी, हाँ सुन शंकर आ जाएंगे, but let's get a voice from Aruna and Bunker's home, and for many of us, if we ever go abroad to England, to London, is Sunil Gupta, and Sunil Gupta is one of his homes in India is Tilonia, and where he's taken photographs. He's known for, I think, many other photographs, but today we saw some of his photographs taken here. Sunil, would you like to briefly comment on your years with Bunker and Tilonia? I see Sunil and Charan both in one frame and window.
I think I'm off the mute now. Hi, well, thank you for inviting me. I'm slightly taken aback. So I came out as a kind of, I guess, quite young, quite green, but slightly idealistic art student from England. And I'd taken a step into the Royal College of Art, but also I was in college at a time when it was a world of post-colonialism and postmodernism. And I thought it was my job to make, I guess, like humanistic photo documentaries about issues that were dealing with social justice of various kinds. And I was introduced to Tilonia by a very old friend from Delhi who lived in London, Manya, Aruna's younger sister. And she said to me, my sister husband runs this place, maybe you'd like to go there. And I was very fortunate. I got a British grant to spend several months and literally started from scratch. I'm sure I arrived in inappropriate gear with way too much photographic equipment and ill-prepared for the environment. So I think I spent the first 3 months just looking and listening and talking and learning from various people and being educated in the field, shall we say, by people like Kemraj, I think, who were waiting for me to crack or something. And Shankar and all. Yes, and I met so many of the people here, Shankar and all that, and took hundreds of pictures, as you know. And yeah, it's just the sad thing is that when I came back, the kind of work I wanted to do had no outlet, because basically television had taken over. It's like what somebody said earlier, how the internet has taken over articles in print. Television had taken over the world of photo documentation in print. There was no work. I couldn't survive doing that. So I pursued a kind of more personal projects, but also around culture. And in my case, and from where I was, it was around race and culture. Being a Black person in London, who identified as Black in the post-colonial sense. I know many Desis don't think they're Black, but I did, so there was all that happened. We had Black shows and Black this and that. And then there was sexuality, as I was very gay, as you know. So I arrived in Tilonia waving my gay flag, and Aruna said, hang on a minute. So let's get the other stuff sorted out.
But you knew them before.
Huh?
You knew them before. You knew Aruna before she was.
No, I did. So it was, I mean, the great thing about Tilonia is that it's both personal and political. You can sit all night on a charpai with Aruna or Khemraj or somebody and have a jolly good natter, you know, like you say anything and everything. And then you go out in the day and you have to practice what you preach. So it was quite good training for that. So I won't waffle on, but I do want to advertise myself, if I may. I'm going to have my first retrospective in India, in Chennai in January. So anybody in Chennai, middle of January, there's going to be an opening.
And there'll be a wall of
Charan
Tilonia.
Singh is curating it.
And there'll be a wall of Tilonia.
I think it never lets me speak. Anyway, so what was I saying? Date to bata rahe na, mid-Jan. And the location is in the
museum.
Government Egmore Museum, which is that national edifice near Egmore Station. It's going to all be outside, so it's free. It's in the gardens of the museum. You can just walk by. So it won't be very daunting to have a look.
No, but there'll be obviously some of the images that you saw.
Yeah, some of the images from that period will be there, hopefully, along with various other ones over the years. And it's going to be very family friendly. The museum was very clear. No rear ends, they told me, on the pictures, you know, so in their nice bureaucratic speech. So I've been told what it can and can't be shown. So let's hope nobody will summon the authorities and lock you up. You're the curator, you chose them. So I'm not going to prison for you.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Sunil. Yeah, we definitely hope you don't go to prison, and we don't think you will, but we look forward to seeing all those photographs, the whole range of your work. Such wonderful comments have been coming in. I wish we could have read out some of them, but we'll share them with others. And if you could, because we can't unfortunately hear everyone, so if you have something to say, please do leave it in your comments. We'd now like to go to the current board chair of the board of Tilonia, Abhimanyu Singh, who's also been an old friend of Banka and Aruna's, but also today steers this period where there is a transition, and after the first 50 years, the next 50 years have to be worked out. So Abhimanyu ji, if you could please say, and then Shankar aap taiyar rehna, koshish karna ki video bhi ho.
Ji. Thanks, Nikhil. Hi, everybody. I promise not to be around for the next 50 years. So anyway, it's a great privilege and honor for me to be here today and to be chairing the board of Barefoot College for the last few years. I should say that I ran into Banka back in 1967 when I was practicing cricket at Mayo, and Mr. Gibson drove in an open jeep and said, here's a young man who is crazy enough to dig wells near Kishangarh, but he can bowl some good off spin. He's just come out of St. Stephen's, and let's see if the school captain can negotiate it. And I, of course, couldn't. So that was the beginning, and then we have been in touch since I have been privileged to be in the Rajasthan cadre of the IAS, belonged to the state, lived in a village, and have been naturally influenced by the work of Banka Roy. And we had a common mentor in Mr. Anil Bodia, who introduced me to his work, and especially how he influenced national policy on education. So I make a few comments on that subject since no one has ventured into it, and I've been in it for a long time. Firstly, the whole concept of night schools was introduced in Tilonia back in the mid-70s. And it was revolutionary at the time that anyone in unelectrified villages and with no teachers could actually learn after a 12-hour day in the fields, grazing cattle and doing whatever they had to at home, and then have so much enthusiasm to come and learn at night after dinner. And so many of them graduated, and they are very distinguished alumni. And that was picked up in the non-formal education strategy of the Planning Commission and Government of India in the 70s and 80s. And then influenced projects like the Shiksha Karmi and the Lok Jumbish, which were essentially in partnership with civil society and the state. And they were for empowering the poorest through integrated and holistic education, which was relevant to their contexts and lives, and based in the community. So rather than have a top-down approach, which Mahatma Gandhi said wouldn't get a universal elementary education in India for another 100 years, he said in the 1940s, and that's proved to be true. People like Bankar and Mr. Bodia tried to reverse the process by making the community involved, engaged, and responsible for rural schools. And while they lasted, these projects made a huge impact in India and abroad. Now I am fortunate enough to chair the Foundation for Education and Development, which has been inspired by this work, and that of Mahila Samakhya for empowerment of women. And we every day realize the truth of what Bankarji and people like Aruna Roy and Nikhil, they have propagating, that the extraordinary potential that the rural people have been gifted with should be heard, listened to, and practiced to be able to get the marginalized people into the mainstream of education, which itself simultaneously needs to undergo radical transformation. So Bankar is a great inspiration. I am an unabashed fan of his, and I can defend him in any forum, night or day. And I continue to do that in my formal and informal capacities. And my wife, Sanjeevani Singh, very happy to be associated with Hateli Satsang and work with Aruna Roy to give local artisans and craftspersons an opportunity to design better products, sell them better, and improve their livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhimanyu ji. We could have had many pairs actually, Sanjeevani ji and you, Sunil and Charan and many others, Vimla and Harsh. But we've, and we see many people together here as well because there's been that kind of association. शंकर, आपसे पहले एक महिला की आवाज हम सुन लें, विनीता जी, जो बहुत शुरुआती दौर में थी, another couple, और फिर शंकर आपके पास आएंगे. विनीता जी, if you are ready, then we can have. Yeah. Thank you.
I want to start with a big thank you to Bankar. I came to Tilonia when I was 21. Straight out of university, and probably was my first job. My family was very, very conservative, and I know Bankar came all the way from Tilonia to convince my father that he should let me come to Tilonia and start the Balwadi program because UNICEF was funding it. And I was petrified. I was really, really scared, always lived in metros, never even went by public transport. So it was a really scary moment for me to leave the space, urban space. And I think what is extremely important for me to say that in child development, we have a term which is called transitional object. I think for me, Tilonia was that space where young people who were absolutely green and had no clue what they were going to do in a village space or, really had no access to it. I think it gave that space. So once you got that space, you're willing to, try out many things. So the second thing, which I think was very important for me, was the fact that there was a lot of compartmentalization. Like I was from a discipline, child development, and then I was, going with Bankar, digging wells, going with Aruna to talk to women. I was going with the doctor to deliver babies. I don't know how many babies we delivered, one on a tractor, one in the middle of floods, one with the cord around the neck. And those were really amazing experiences, which I don't think in any university setting you would ever get, or just sit in the craft section and make designs. So that was yet another a very important thing, that you realize that there was a interconnectedness between all the areas, including the fact that when you're a woman, what happens when you're asked your caste, what is it likely to, come up with, the kind of things. So that was the second very, very important thing when you're 21. And the third thing was that after 3 years of being in Tilonia, I moved to teaching in a formal setting in the Delhi University. And for 35 years, I've taught. I've just retired. And I think no batch would say that they didn't know about Tilonia, because there were so many experiences and things that were shared through the years of teaching. So 3 years of Tilonia and 35 years of teaching, and I cannot tell you the huge impact of those days spent in the field, cycling, falling off tractors. I remember Bunker making the jonga into a vehicle that could cross the river. And we all held hands. Bunker, I'm sure you remember it, where the exhaust went right up and we were holding hands and crossing the river. And I had stupidly worn really silly kind of attire, which wouldn't dry. So we called the local tailor. Srinivasan went to the local tailor and said, all the clothes are wet. There's one woman on our team and she doesn't have clothes to wear. Can you stitch a lehenga immediately? And he said, oh, I saw that woman. I know her size. So he made this really huge lehenga for me, which was I looked quite a character. And then the entire time I was doing this flood relief work, I couldn't bear to go to the big job outside, and I couldn't bear to take that little, lota they take to that place. So I would carry a bucket. And so the whole place knew me as Bucket Wali Benji, who would go in a Batwa with a bucket. And then the other very funny thing that used to happen was I had no clue about certain terms which were colloquially used at that time. So often when I was, going on a motorcycle with somebody, young girls around would say, "The bata karta hai," like you're talking to these people. I thought it was talking to these people. So every girl who asked me that, I said, हाँ, bata to sabse karna chahiye. So, little did I realize it meant having sex with all these people. So when I was told later, I was like horrified. I said, my God, what have I got myself into? This is really terrible. And so there were so many things that were unlearned for me. And I think I want to say really two names that were very, very important for me. Of course, Bunker is somebody I really admire, and I think he gave me the largest canvas. I remember once I'd made this Amrit Churan, a weaning food for the babies. And Bunker said, why don't we set up a factory, Vinita? I think it's a good idea to have a factory here. I said, no, Bunker, we are going to train the women to, make it themselves. We'll use this til and gur and chana. And all. No. We'll make it big. And a couple, maybe 2-3 decades later, when I went back to Tilonia, I had a couple of people who came and said, Didi, we want to show you this. We made this, weaning food, and they were nicely packaged. So Bunker had his way. Bunker totally had his way, and he had all these packets, which I think Srinivasan brought back to me and said, see, this has been made by Bunker. So, it was just such a amazing journey. And of course, I mean, there were lots of debates that could happen there. Tilonia gave you the space to disagree, gave you the space to put out your ideas and those ideas could be dumped. I remember one of my biggest concerns was, should the Bal Sevika be a Bahu or a daughter? And I think this never got resolved because the Bahu would have a long veil over her head and do all this Nach Gana and sing, and the Beti would get trained and go off in the next 6 months. So there were a huge number of dilemmas that we kind of grappled with. But I think Tilonia was that wonderful space to be able to do it, to have different viewpoints. And I think finally I can say a big thank you to Ratan Bhenji, who made me understand the deep cultural nuances. Bunker for having faith in me. I didn't even understand, the UNICEF fund was a huge fund in lakhs. And I said, I don't know what this means, Bunker. I really don't know. And he said, of course you can do it. Of course you can do it. Go ahead. Do what you want. So I think it gave me the roots to fly. And 35 years, I think I haven't, kind of left talking about Tilonia. And all my students and my colleagues have heard story after story, because each day was very special and each day we learned so much. So thank you, Bunker. Thank you, Aruna. And I'm sure Bunker will make one snide one, which he always makes, that, Tilonia also gave you your husband. So that's a lot of people, I think, got their partners, their soulmates through meeting in Tilonia. So thank you once again, and all the best to you, Soumya. It's a huge, job to take up, and thank you, Bunker, once again.
Thank you very much, Vinita. 2-3 big lessons apart from Tilonia being a marriage agency, but also the fact that you go in as a 19-year-old and you come out maybe as, in terms of work, as a well-experienced 40-45-year-old with a big ability to do a lot. It's a very important lesson. Just like I think Abhimanyu ji, what he talked about, that Tilonia did things in one area that became policy in the whole state and country in many, many things. And that's again a very important contribution that needs to be remembered time and time again, how those connections were made. We would like, Shankar अब यदि बोलेंगे, उनके बाद रश्मि जी हैं, और मैं गोपाल गांधी जी को भी देख रहा हूँ. If he would be willing to say a few words, it would be great, because he's also been there on the old-time friend, batchmate of Aruna's. I would say a batchmate of Tilonia as well. I mean, the whole Bunker and Aruna's Tilonia journey as well. So Shankar, आप अभी
हाँ जी,
शंकर दिख रहे हैं देवडुंगरी गांव से, तो बढ़िया.
तो सुनाई दे रहा है?
सुनाई भी दे रहा है, दिख भी रहा है.
दिख भी रहा है, ठीक. मैं उसी से लग रहा था, पता नहीं, यहाँ कई बार नेटवर्क का इधर उधर हो जाता है. तो मेरे लिए तिलोनिया बंकर, मतलब आप देखो तो एक दूसरे के पूरक है. तिलोनिया कहो तो बंकर है, बंकर कहो तो तिलोनिया है. तो तिलोनिया को बंकर ने ऐसा एक नाम बनाया, बंकर की वजह से बना तिलोनिया, तिलोनिया की वजह से बंकर भी है. लेकिन बंकर का वहां पे जो एंट्री लेते हैं तो कभी पूछते नहीं है कि आपने क्या पढ़ाई की है, क्या कर सकते हो वो करो. मेरे को नहीं पूछा. मैं जब तिलोनिया में गया तो मेरे को पूछा नहीं कि भाई पढ़ाई लिखाई कितनी है, कि क्या कर रहे हो, क्या कर सकते हो करो. और मेरे को जो मौका मिला वो बहुत बड़ी बात है, क्योंकि वो अवसर का देना, ऐसा मौका मिलना कि आप में जो प्रतिभा है उसको उभारने के लिए जो मौका तिलोनिया ने मुझे दिया. और इसीलिए मैं वहाँ बंकर है और मैं शंकर हूँ, तो हमारा बंकर ने मुझे शंकर बना दिया. और मैं पता नहीं वास्तव में तिलोनिया में टिकता नहीं, लेकिन आप दोनों की वजह से, मतलब बंकर और अरुणा को मैं अलग से देखता नहीं हूँ, कि आप दोनों की वजह से मेरा अपना जीवन बदला और मेरा मन लगा ऐसे काम में. समाज का ऐसे काम को करने के लिए अगर मन आपका नहीं है तो आप जबरदस्ती नहीं कर सकते. और वो एक जगह तिलोनिया है. तिलोनिया एक प्रयोगशाला के रूप में है. वो प्रयोग सफल हो गया तो बहुत अच्छा, नहीं हुआ तो कोई बात नहीं, और करेंगे. तो इस वजह से तिलोनिया का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है. बहुत सारे लोगों की जिंदगी में तिलोनिया ने बहुत दिया है. मैं आया था उस समय 26 साल का था, आज मैं 70 का हूँ. और आप सोच सकते हैं कि जो कुछ तिलोनिया से मिला है मैंने उसका भरपूर उपयोग किया है. तिलोनिया एक बड़ा परिवार है, मैं उसका एक सदस्य हूँ. और एक तरह से जैसे वटवृक्ष होता है, जो एक पेड़ है, वो बीज से जब पेड़ बनता है तो तो उसकी शाखाएं निकलती है, और वो शाखाएं जब अपनी जगह बना लेती है तो वो जो मूल पेड़ है वो अपनी जगह छोड़ता है। तो क्या फिर वो, अगर शाखाओं को आप मौका ही नहीं दो नीचे जाके वापस अपना पेड़ बनने का, तो वो पेड़ कभी आगे बढ़ता नहीं। तो एक तरह से मैं समझता हूँ कि मुझे लगता है कि बंकर ने एक ऐसा वट वृक्ष उगाया जिसकी खूब सारी शाखाएं हैं। वो शाखाएं अपने बूते पे पनपती गई, खड़ी होती गई, और उस पेड़ का वहां से वजूद वहां से हटता है। तो बंकर मेरी जिंदगी के लिए और समाज के लिए, और दोनों ही बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। कई बार तिलोनिया में उस समय बात करते थे तो बंकर के बारे में पूछते थे कि अच्छा अरुणा जी तो आईएएस में थी ना? तो मैंने कहा हाँ, ये सरकारी लोग ऐसे पूछ लेते। अच्छा तो बंकर आईपीएस होगा? तो मतलब उनको लगता है कि इसने आईएएस छोड़ा है तो बंकर ने कोई आईपीएस छोड़ दिया दिखे। तो मतलब वो सोच भी नहीं सकते, उनको लगता है कि यार ये कोई बहुत बड़ा, इनके पास भी कोई डिग्री विग्री होगा। बंकर ने जो कुछ डिग्री किया, अरुणा ने भी जो किया, वो सब भुला के नई शिक्षा, नया जीवन, गांव की समस्याओं को पढ़ने का, शैली को पढ़ने का, लोगों के साथ जीने का जो चालू किया जगह, वो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। और मैं एक तरह से मैं अपने आप को बहुत भाग्यशाली मानता हूँ कि मैं उस समय तिलोनिया गया, और मुझे जो वहाँ का जो वातावरण ने जो मुझे खाद दी, वो मैं भूल नहीं सकता जिंदगी में। और इसलिए तिलोनिया का बहुत मेरी जिंदगी में योगदान है, और समाज के लोगों को आंदोलन में, उसमें सब में तिलोनिया, जैसे निखिल ने बताया कि तिलोनिया ने कभी हमको नहीं रोका कि तुम किस तरह से। और आप सोच सकते हो कि जब आरटीआई का धरना जयपुर में चल रहा था तो उस समय सरकार पीछे पड़ गई थी, और उनको कहा कि इनका कैंपस हम खाली करवाएंगे। और तिलोनिया क्या करता है, हम इसकी पूरी, आप आरटीआई मांगते हो लेकिन हम तिलोनिया के बारे में मांगेंगे। और बिना कुछ किए तिलोनिया ने अपना पहली बार इस देश में, मुझे लग रहा है कि एक एनजीओ के सेक्टर में अपना सब कुछ खोला, सारे कागज बाहर निकाल के वहां सांसद को, एमएलए को, सरकार को बुला के खुला निमंत्रण दिया। इतने साल हमने जो काम किया, ये सारे कागज है, बिल बाउचर है, कहाँ से पैसा आया, कहाँ खर्च हुआ, इवन ट्रेवल है, आप कोई भी कागज यहाँ से देख सकते हो, सारा फोटोकॉपी। तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात है, ये बड़ा मन है। ऐसा अक्सर होता नहीं है, क्योंकि लोग बहुत उसमें इस तरह से ये हिम्मत कर नहीं पाते हैं।
थैंक यू शंकर,
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद बंकर और अरुणा, आप दोनों ही मेरे लिए एक तरह के, एक दूसरे के पूरक हो, लेकिन मेरी जिंदगी के लिए भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो। थैंक यू बंकर।
Thank you. So Shankar is really an example. Behind Shankar, you can see actually Aruna's trunk in Devdungri. वो झोंपड़ी हमारी है, और वो trunk जो शंकर के पीछे दिख रहा है, that is her cupboard, or that's where her things are. One of the trunks, one is mine, one Shankar's, the others who live there in that झोंपड़ी since 1986-87. So Shankar is showing a bit of the झोंपड़ी, you can see, and it's some of you have been there, some of you can come to that hut sometime. That's where the MKSS is headquartered. And Shankar gave a very important lesson of this joint journey. Firstly, Aruna and Shankar both came out of Tilonia, started a very different nature of work. And that work impacted, and the fallout of that work came on Tilonia as well, because we were less vulnerable in terms of any kind of janch or any kind of inquiry on funding. They came down like a ton of bricks when we were fighting for the RTI on Tilonia, with 9 MLAs writing saying we should do an inquiry of Tilonia, and this whole RTI movement is being funded, whereas no money came from Tilonia. People from the area definitely also joined because they were friends. And Bunker and Tilonia's guts was they put out all their records. Their immediate response was, come and look, come and see. You have questions to ask, don't just send your police people, anyone can come and anyone can look. And that was quite an incredible, important thing that Shankar has brought out in this whole thing. Rashmi, if you can come, Rashmi, if you're there, if you can come after Rashmi, if Gopal Gandhi ji would speak, and then Rajni Bakshi will be the last person in this series. And then we'll hear one or two others, and we are moving towards the end. Rashmi?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So thank you so much for inviting me here. It's a great privilege for me. Rajneesh and I, we met Bankar and Aruna for the first time in '94. Our journey was a little bit different before that. We had been at the Osho commune for 3 years and were not really from this field of rural development. But we were on a life journey exploration sort of thing to find things that would nourish our souls, things that we wanted to do. And in this journey, we met Bankar in '94. Before that, we'd worked a little bit in the rural development space and had become very disillusioned with the NGO sector. I think we were very idealistic and we felt that it'll be a different scenario. But we found that people didn't actually practice what they preached. So we were on the verge of just changing our life path again when we met him. And meeting both Bankar and Aruna, we just felt, here were people who've already done what we even want to do in life. And that's where we stayed. We worked with Bankar for about 2 years in Delhi with the network organization. And I think the biggest parallel we felt also in terms of our experience at the commune and, just was that this whole trust in an individual's capacity and complete belief in how they were as they arrived. There was no selection process. So that really gave us a lot of space to grow and a lot of space to learn. And this whole possibility of supporting our dream, that's what happened with us as well. And Bankar was fully behind our idea of going and working in the Himalayas. So in 1996, we started the Barefoot College Kumaon, and we completed our 25 years yesterday. And we've been working in the Kumaon region for that long with similar precepts. So thank you very much, Bankar and Aruna, for this experience. And we were very fortunate to meet both of you in our life journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashmi. Gopal Gandhiji Gopuda, as some of us call him, would you be willing to say a few words? And after that, Rajni, please, if you can.
Thank you, Nikhil. I don't know if you can hear me.
Very clearly.
Thank you. I've had a lot of help from my wife, Tara, to get this contraption going. I'm useless at managing gadgets like this. And today in Chennai, because of the cyclone yesterday, network is likely to be very unstable. But I'll very quickly say it's a tremendous honor to have known Bankar from college, and an equal honor to have known Aruna from the academy. So we are batchmates both, in both sets. Bankar and Aruna have filled me with a sense of pride in having known them, a sense of awe in having been contemporaries, but also a great sense of inadequacy, because both of them are up there and I know where I am. It is so wonderful to have an ideal like Bankar and ideal like Aruna, but also so very humbling, because no chance of my ever being anywhere close to what they're achieving. So I don't know if I should feel totally grateful or totally unequal. I'll decide on being a bit of both. And I'll just conclude by saying, Bankar, कॉलेज में हम सब तुमसे बहुत डरते थे, क्योंकि तुम हमें आईना दिखाते थे कि ये भी हो सकते हो तुम, और हम सब जानते थे कि जहाँ तुम हो वहाँ हम कभी नहीं पहुंच सकते, पर तुम आदर्श हो, जिसे तुम हमें कुछ सिखा सकते हो, कोशिश कर सकते हैं, कुछ कोशिश कर सकते हैं। और फिर जब बंकर और अरुणा साथ मिले तो ऐसे जैसे कि बिजली और धड़कन साथ मिल गई, और मुझे यही लग रहा था कि अरुणा जब बैचमेट मेरी पांडिचेरी में मुझसे मिलने आया, जहाँ की अभी तूफान कर निकला है, अरुणा कहाँ थी और मैं कहाँ? हम दोनों सब कलेक्टर थे, तो कितना फर्क, सब कलेक्टर एक और सब कलेक्टरी दो दो अलग किस्म की, बिल्कुल बेजोड़। समर्पण कहते हैं, अरुणा का समर्पण, और मैं वही जो सब कलेक्टर होते, काम किया, तनख्वाह कमाई, और बस आगे और बढ़ने की कोशिश, आगे बढ़ने यानी खुद को आगे बढ़ाने। और अरुणा के साथ मिलकर ये पता चला कि ये जो जिस्म मिला है, इसका उपयोग करने हमारा धर्म है। हमें कुछ करना है, चाहे क्योंकि हम जन्म पाए हैं, इस जन्म से कुछ करना चाहिए। सिर्फ सुरक्षित रहकर, बचे रहकर, अपना नाम बचाकर अपना काम तमाम करना थोड़ी, तो कुछ करें, क्योंकि हमें मौका मिला है कुदरत से। अरुणा और बंकर ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव है, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल है, और इस स्टेटस को समाज में और हमारे स्टेटस को देश में उन जैसे ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लोगों की जरूरत है। यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि उन दोनों की जो जोड़ी है, उससे मुझे कई बार याद आया जयप्रकाश और प्रभावती की जोड़ी, आचार्य कृपलानी और सुचिता की जोड़ी। क्या जोड़ी, क्या बेजोड़ जोड़ी। एक बार नीरज चौधरी ने मुझे बताया, नीरज चौधरी लेखक, उन्होंने मुझे कहा एक बार, यू नो मैरिज इज लाइक ए नेकटाई। तो मैंने सुना ये क्या कह रहे हैं, नेकटाई जैसे कि कोई लाइक ए स्ट्रैंगुलेशन। तो उनका मैरिज इज लाइक ए नेकटाई, इट शुड आइदर बी ए कंप्लीट कॉन्ट्रास्ट और इट शुड बी टोटल मैच। पर अरुणा और पंकज ने दिखाया है, it need neither be a total contrast nor a complete match. In fact, necktie is a completely dispensable item of attire. What one needs is the freedom of one's own will, joined to the requirements of the day. मैं कई बार कह चुका हूँ, और फिर ये कहता हूँ, शंकर के शब्द बिल्कुल ठीक थे, दोनों एक दूसरे के पूरक हैं, और पूरक बनते हुए हमने उनसे सीखा है कि हर क्षण एक मौका होता है, हर दिन एक अवसर। आरटीआई जैसी क्रांतिकारी चीज मैंने अपने जीवन में देखी नहीं, और अगर आज वो शिथिल है तो सिर्फ आज के लिए आ चुकी है, और हमेशा वो हमें सतर्क रखेगी। बंकर, तुम्हें मुबारक, बेयरफुट कॉलेज को मेरा अभिनंदन, और अरुणा, तुम्हें मेरा सदैव का, क्या कहो, प्यार भरा प्रणाम। निखिल, थैंक्स।
गोपाल गांधी साहब, क्या क्या कविता जैसे आप बोले हैं, और उस किस्म की कविताएं हम कोई बोल नहीं सकते, और बहुत बड़े बड़े शब्द। एंड यहाँ तिलोनिया के जो बैठे लोग हैं वो इतने खुश हुए हैं, क्योंकि ये जोड़ीदार बात जो आपने की वो बस उनके दिल के अंदर, क्योंकि उनको लगता है शायद कि वो अरुणा और बंकर के इस जोड़ी का तिलोनिया ही एक बड़ा बच्चा है जिसमें बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं। वो चाहे पेड़, वट वृक्ष, जो भी नाम दो, there are many progenies that have come out of this exercise. So I think that is also an interesting perspective in this whole thing. But it's not just that, of course. There are many deep things you've said, except your very self-deprecatory remarks, Gopal Gandhi Sahab. We all look up to you for many of the things that you have done in your life in very strong and powerful and ethical ways.
आपको प्रणाम हमारा।
हाँ, सब कह रहे हैं आपको प्रणाम यहाँ। Rajni Bakshi, and I don't know if Rajiv Mehrotra ji would like to say. end this bit with a few words. Yeah, Aruna would like to say a quick thing about Gopuda. Yeah.
Gopu and all friends, but Gopu specifically because he talked so much about me and Bankar. You don't know how much of a wonderful beacon of light you've been to me and how important you've been in my life, and your standing upright for values in your quiet way, how much it has done to keep us going in this extremely difficult times. So I think I convey my thanks. I convey the thanks of everybody in this group who's listening, and I convey the thanks of the MKSS and of the SWRC Barefoot College and all of us for having such a marvelous friend and comrade with us always. Thank you, Gugu.
So, yeah. Just a minute. Sorry, we are both, some of us are in the same room. Thank you very much, Aruna and Gopuda. And this is one marriage Tilonia can't claim in its shadi.com version of 50 years, because this preceded the birth of Tilonia. Just as I think the child can't claim rights over having got the parents married or got the parents together. The next person, Rajni, if she can speak, and then Rajiv Mehrotra, and I'll end my little bit. It's taken a little bit longer, but not too much. And really been such an illuminating thing, and such illuminating comments, I must say. And I would request those who are organizing this to please send these comments to everyone, because this is also almost like a book in itself. Rajni? Rajni,
I don't think she is there.
She's not here?
No.
Okay. So Rajiv Mehrotra ji, could you end, and we'll still try and talk to Rajni to see if she is somewhere and can join. But Rajiv ji, would you say a few words? And if she's not there, then we'll move on to the next part.
Goodness, I feel like a kid on the block because I really knew Aruna because brother Amit and I were very good friends while we were in college. And Bankar was more legend than real for us, because at St. Stephen's he'd already left the college and was this very iconic figure, a squash champion, and Aruna who'd walked out of the IAS to go and serve in the community. But the impact of who he was and of who Aruna was and is, and both of them are and have been, has really been a lesson in courage and a lesson in integrity and purity. And I remember a comment that His Holiness the Dalai Lama made after he visited the Barefoot College in Tilonia, and he's made a similar remark for Baba Amte, and he said the same thing with after he saw the work that Bankar was doing, and he said, you know, he really practices what I can only preach, and I couldn't think of a more profound comment as a student of the Dalai Lama on who Bankar and Aruna are and what they have done, and how much they have inspired people like me and my generation, who are sort of, you know, somewhat younger than what they have been. And I think through the entire, and particularly in recent months, as Tilonia has struggled as we have, and Bankar has spoken very eloquently about that, about not-for-profits and people working in the community. And I think that determination, that passion through so many vicissitudes And as you mentioned, when you were under attack and scrutiny of the RTI, is when you meet and you talk to Aruna or Banka, what you see is what you get. And I think there is that innate transparency of who they are, and the courage to be who they are and to stand up for who they are without any masks. Has been a very inspirational learning for my wife Meenakshi and myself. And dare I add that also sort of their marriage is a kind of model and example for us as we have pursued our own relative areas of work. So thank you, Aruna Didi. She really has been a Didi to me on numerous occasions of many a dark night to the soul. So my relationship with Aruna has been more of a sister, and so deep gratitude, and of course Banka for the great inspiration he has been, and I have been completely in awe of both of them for a lifetime, from the time I was in college. So I feel a little nervous speaking with such a galaxy of amazing people who have known them far sort of more intimately in work that I have. So this is just to celebrate you, Aruna and Banka, and with great applause, great gratitude, and deep love. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you very much, my dear, for being a wonderful brother.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. And I will end this little bit just with one line of saying, picking up from something that you said, that I have really known both Banka and Aruna separately and together very intimately. And in that intimate space have really both learned, have been inspired, and have understood how different views can really generate so much more strength amongst lots of people, and how those different views can come together to actually support each other for a much better, much more conducive, the importance of dissent and the importance of dialogue and debate, conducive environment for real, proper human growth all around. And I think we've all benefited from this college, Banka, and congratulations to you. And I really thank Aruna for two things, both the book, because it would not have come out if it had not been for her persistence. And that's a persistence that has carried on through life, even though Banka is supposed to be unshakable. I think we know some of the ways in which she has been able to shake him at various points, and for the good, just as I'm sure he has also been able to shake her for the good. But also this program today, she's done a lot to do it, and I think you all must have received mails from her, messages from her, because she was determined to make it, have it go. Manushi, please take over. Thank you very much. Really would urge others to please write in, because there's a little bit more in that period. If there's something else you have to say, please do write in the messages. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhilji, and all the speakers. We have a few minutes where we'll open the meeting for comments from the audience. And we request you to put a hand up if you would like to speak.
Manushi, I don't think, I mean, there's a button there where you can say raise your hand, but if not, I think you'll just have to see the screen and see who's raising their hand and get them to speak.
All right. Dida, would you like to take over and conduct this bit, please?
I'm very bad at spotting this. Who is this? Yes. From T.S. Pondal from Bhutan wants to speak.
Thank you very much indeed for this very kind invitation. Witnessing this amazing event, I feel so humbled and also at the same time so deficient. I haven't had the privilege of visiting Barefoot College or being a part of this amazing history that the speakers this evening narrated to us. I wish I were a small little part of the big story. However, I have had the joy and privilege of meeting Dr. Bankar Roy about 12 years ago when he visited Bhutan and helped us in a very special way when we were trying to integrate Bhutan's development vision of gross national happiness into the overall educational system in the country. And I also know that Barefoot College has helped my fellow citizens, a lot of Bhutanese women, to become solar engineers, and they're all doing very well. I'm so grateful that we have in our world an idea called Barefoot College. I know it was all desert. The desert found an individual, Dr. Bankar Roy, and Barefoot College was born. I believe Dr. Bankar Roy and Tilonia have literally launched a revolution to make learning, to make education rooted in the life of the community, rooted in the life of people. And this is what a university ought to be doing. Be a part of people, be a part of the community, and not be an ivory tower. And I could see that so many great individuals have benefited from being a part of this great story called Barefoot College. And I would like to thank all of you, the organizers, for this opportunity to be a part of this great conversation this evening, and congratulate Barefoot College, Dr. Bankar Roy, Dr. Aruna Roy, and everybody associated with this great seat of real learning for the amazing 50 years that we have been able to count, and wish this great institution many more 50 years as we look to the future. Thank you very much again, and congratulations for the amazing strides that you have made and also contributed to the empowerment of so many people near and far. Dhanyabad.
Well, if does anyone else want to say anything?
Yes, I have raised my hand. This is Amit.
Yeah, hello, Amit Jayashri. Come on.
हाँ, ओके, तो मुझे बंकर के बारे में कहना है, जैसे किसी और ने भी कहा, मैं भी 20 साल का था जब वहाँ पहुंच गया और ट्रंक लेके, एक होल्डॉल लेके, और बंकर से मिला पहली बार। तो सबसे अच्छी बात जो मुझे लगी थी वो ये थी कि जो फ्रीडम ये देते थे, कोई भी बेवकूफ आ जाए और कहे कि मुझे ये करना है वो करना है, तो इसके मेंटरशिप में बंकर के वो अपने आइडियाज को करने का जो इजाजत था, जो गलतियां करने की इजाजत थी, जो एक बहुत ही अच्छे टीचर का गुण मैं मानता हूँ, वो माहौल बंकर ने वहाँ था, पैदा किया था। और हमारे जैसे लोग जो उनको कि शहरों में पले बढ़े, जिनको गांव का कुछ गंध नहीं था, उनको एक बहुत ही सुंदर एक्सपोजर और जगह रहने का फैसिलिटी और करने का मौका, ये बात मुझे बहुत बात तक लगती थी। क्योंकि और दूसरा ये कि जो वो सुनता था जब हम ये मैं खेमराज से मिला, सबसे बड़ी बात मेरी
Amit?
The connection has got dropped off.
So we have Mr. Komandir. Komandir, if I'm pronouncing.
Yes, Gopal from Hyderabad.
Gopal from Hyderabad.
अच्छा अरुणा, एक बात मुझे और कहना है।
अच्छा, तुम आगे वापस, अच्छा बोलो।
हाँ, जो आज के माहौल में बहुत ही जरूरी है कि तिलोनिया ने और बंकर ने और तिलोनिया ने जो भी सोशल एक्टिविस्ट या सोशल वर्क में लोग घुसे, उनको ये कॉन्फिडेंस उस समय दिया कि सरकार से हम नहीं चलते हैं, हमें पता है असलियत क्या है और सरकार को हमें सुनना है। ये बात बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि अब ज्यादातर ये सीन पूरा उलट गया है, जो एनजीओ सेक्टर हो गया, और उस समय तो एनजीओ नहीं था, वो वॉलेंटरी एजेंसी था। अब नॉन गवर्नमेंट नाम के साथ साथ मतलब रेयरली कोई एनजीओ या के लोग, इवन हेड्स ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशंस भी आज के तारीख में दिखते हैं, who are able to stand up to the government। तो ये कॉन्फिडेंस जो दिया कि सरकारी आईएएस के बड़े बड़े अधिकारी वहां आते थे ऑफिस में बंकर के, और कोई भी गांव के जो कार्यकर्ता थे वो उनके सामने कह पाते थे कि आपकी स्कीम ये गलती है, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसे होना चाहिए, हमें पता। ये बहुत बड़ी बात है मुझे लगता है जो तिलोनिया ने दी सबको। थैंक यू।
बहुत ही सही बात आपने कहा, that there were voluntary organizations, and in this culture ordinary people could speak truth to power, which is impossible now. So I'd like to ask Gopal if he'd like to say something. His hand is raised. And then after that, Lolly.
Thank you, Soumya, to invite this. I met Bunker in 1980. So I have a long journey with him. Bunker, I have two questions to ask you because it continues to still remain in my thought. One, when we were talking about the voluntary code, one of the things was the relationship. You suggested that the salaries of people in a voluntary organization, right, should be 1:4. I was arguing with you, or I was thinking that if assets are also not included, it is only half story told. What is your view on that today? Next. Your leadership in the Planning Commission led to setting up a CAPAT. Do you regret it? Do you think you couldn't steer it? Do you think you didn't have the handle on it? What is the story behind? Thank you.
So Bunker, should we listen to Lolly before you answer this question? Lolly?
Thank you so much. I am just totally overwhelmed, emotional, largely because I wish that Ramu had been here. I think he has been here, but this extraordinary gathering of people, of reminiscences, of memories, and of such a profound vision. The thing that it has done for me and maybe for many of us tonight is to bring back a great sense of confidence again, of optimism, at a time when I think many of us individually have been going through a lot of despair. And that's what I really want to thank you for above all. I knew Bunker, gosh, just shows my age, when he was still in college, because his mother, Auntie Benji, used to be a frequent visitor at our home in Delhi. And that is when sort of we got to know him as a young boy, always, full of rebelliousness, I think, and full of extraordinary confidence that he could do anything and also get away with it. So it's just great to see you tonight. And Aruna, as you know, we have shared many, many platforms, many fora. And although we never told this to you earlier, and I wish we had, when we took the decision after retirement at age 60, when Ramu retired from the Navy, to move into a village and lived there for 30 years. And I was more nervous. I said, look, you know, how are we going to manage? He said, look, you have always talked about Aruna and Bankar and Tilonia and all that they have done. And I believe that even if it's in this stage of my life, there is much that we can contribute, and frankly, much that we have learned about the realities of what this country is about. So I just want to share that at a very personal level and really thank you for, you know, bringing back a spirit of yes we can, yes we will, and yes we must. रास्ता है लंबा भाई, मंजिल है दूर, हिम्मत से चलेंगे, मिलके जरूर. Thank you again and keep walking.
Thank you very much, Lolly. Is there anyone else who would like to say anything? Can anyone spot a hand up? Okay, then since we have...
Dida, there's Subhash Agrawal ji has put a hand up.
Where is Subhash Agrawal? I can't see.
He's on the video.
All right. Subhash, would you like to say something?
नमस्ते अरुणा जी, नमस्ते निखिल जी. मेरे को याद आ रहा है, मैं और मेरी पत्नी श्रीमती मधु अग्रवाल एक बार तिलोनिया रात को रुके थे, जब अरुणा जी और निखिल जी से रात को 2 बजे तक देर तक बातचीत होती रही और हमने अपने अनुभव शेयर किए. अरुणा जी ने मेरे को एक अपना पुराना पुश्तैनी कुकर भी दिखाया कि देखो हमारे यहाँ ये मेरी सासू ने दिया था, और बड़ा अच्छा लगा. और इनके द्वारा चलाया हुआ आरटीआई मूवमेंट ने मेरे को समाज में एक पहचान दी. मैं इन लोगों का बहुत आभारी हूँ. धन्यवाद.
थैंक यू सुभाष जी. आपके जैसे इतने कर्मठ काम तो हम किए नहीं है, मगर आपका तो बहुत बड़ा अच्छा काम हुआ है आरटीआई को लेके. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. Does anyone else want to say anything? If not, anyone, yes, who wants to speak?
Yeah, hi Aruna ji, this is Amrit here.
Hello Amit.
Thank you Soumya ji for inviting me. First of all, I visited Tilonia, I think, very recently in the month of May. As a part of my research, I'm doing my research in innovations in India, and taking it forward. So it's been an amazing learning from Tilonia, and being here, listening to all of you, it takes me back to the books that I've been reading on Tilonia, and it's giving me a lifelike picture of everything that has gone through in the last 50 years. So I'll be conducting my PhD thesis around innovations in India, and Tilonia becomes the heart and soul for the innovation, culture in India. So thank you for the opportunity. I wish you and Bankar sir very happy, launch. I've already ordered the copies. Looking forward to reading up this book and sharing it with my family and peers. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. You've raised our flagging spirits. It's wonderful to hear you. Anyone else who wants to say something? All right. In which case, there's a small song we sing at the end of every meeting, and I invite Ram Nivas and Moti and everyone present in this room. Sab log milke gaenge. We'll just end with what is a Tilonia signature song, and so before that, Soumya will conclude, and after that we will sing this song. So Soumya, formally conclude the meeting, and then we'll sing the song.
Thank you. I think Bankachatya can respond to Gopal and his questions in writing, since we've got this meeting going on for the last 2-3 hours. I just want to thank everyone who spent their entire evening reminiscing about the Barefoot College. Again, like I said, since I'm fairly new to the organization, I've heard a lot of these stories. I worked with Aruna ji in the MKSS from 98 to 2005 before I went off to work with government. And then last year when Bankar called me and said, will you come as the CEO and director of Barefoot College, I was wondering, where did this come from? Quite out of the blue. So now I work with the husband. So I went literally, if you look at it from wife and husband point of view, I went from being trained by the wife to now working with the husband. But just that they are two very, very different entities who, in their own way, created two fantastic movements that complement each other, supplement each other, and show us that Sangarsh bhi hai, Seva bhi hai, Nirman bhi hai. And I thank Teh Dil Se Aruna ji for organizing this. This actually has been in the planning for months, and though she's been exhausted, most days she just, she pushes herself. But her resilience and her insistence that we must do this, and Bankarji's resistance that you do it, I'm not going to be there. I've been part of this conversation, but I'm so glad that this actually happened and that both of them have had books come out. Arunaji's personal is political and Bankarji is walking the Tilonia way. Both books reflect their own journeys, but both books also reflect each other's journeys as, as friends, as comrades, and also as husband and wife. But I think they've been more friends and comrades and been really, truly each other's supporters. So thank you very, very much. I just do the formal thank you as director and CEO, but basically I think the big thank you should go to Arunaji, to Heather, to Manushi, and to Bankarji for turning up, which we did wonder hoga ki nahi. But thank you.
I see there's a late entrant. If you'll all forgive me, Kavita wants to speak. Kavita, where are you?
Should I speak for a minute?
Of course, please speak.
You can have the last word.
Sorry. So firstly, I think, thanks to Banka and Aruna, because even I sort of met them in my most impressionable age, when I was very, very young. I'm 62 now, and I was 17 when I met Aruna, and a year later, I met Banka. So it has been a fantastic journey. I mean, looking back so many years. More importantly, what I want to say, there are two things. One is that in that period, we took democracy for granted and we created wonders like the SWRC and the Barefoot College. We created wonders like the movements MKSS or the women's movement. We don't have that democracy anymore. Something else will get created. But the learnings of that period, we need at two levels. What is the nature of democracy you need for these kinds of projects to develop? The relationships between people, what kind of nurturing? And the other thing is, as part of development theory, we have Harsh Sethi sitting here, big theorist, and there must be many others like him also in this room. And I think we were learning, we were doing development studies, we were doing development theory, we were trying to connect what Aruna used to tell us within the feminist movement and what Banka and Barefoot College. Like for a simple thing that emerged from the Tilonia, the movement of that period was strengthening the receiving mechanism. Just that one line changes a whole framework, and it happened in the 70s, and we are still talking about it 50 years later. I really think that what Banka and Aruna held, what the period, that moment in Indian history held, is for us to take further in terms of some more, building on even in terms of theory. And I feel that's very, very important because those are the principles that need to enter into books and all over, which is, where we intersect democracy with these creative ideas, how these creative ideas develop through these processes and then add on to that body of knowledge. That's all I want to say. Let's not miss this moment in our love and affection for each other and thanking each other for being there with us in this whole journey and creating this gorgeous. I mean, it's our family. It's in brotherhood and sisterhood. I've only survived on these friends, on this collective, this network. I mean, that has been my life. But let's move on a little further and slight abstraction also. Thank you so much.
Kavita, thank you very much. You've been like a daughter to me, and I don't know what Bunker would like to call you, but you've been there fighting me and agreeing with me and quarreling with me and supporting me. You've been always there in my life. So it's been wonderful to have had you with me. And I think we have a lot of things to cover now. We have to discuss about the future, about the present, and you're very elusive. And I think you're imitating Bunker. Now you'll have to be more available and come for these discussions and spare some time. And I'm looking forward to it. Does anyone else want to speak? Anyone else? Can you see anybody? No. All right. Then I want to thank Heather, because without her, this wouldn't have happened. I mean, she was persistent. She was methodical. She was fantastic. She looked at the documents. She got in touch with us. She put up with all the hiccups that happened. So a personal thanks to Heather for her contribution in making this possible. And now we'll end with a song which we always sing, and we're all here. And so you will hear a chorus.
Oh God.
माँ का राम सलाम ले लीजो रे, जीवाला तो फिर मिला लानी का लीजो रे। माँ का राम सलाम ले लीजो रे, जीवाला तो फिर मिला लानी का लीजो रे, ओ नीका लीजो रे।
बाटा, आपको एक लाइन गाना है? बाटा, Bata, where is she? She's written a message saying she wants to sing a line. Where is Bata? Hello?
I think she's dropped off.
We can just see if you can still get her.
Yes, hello, namaste Masi.
Haan ji.
And everyone, namaste Mosaji.
Namaste beta. You wanted to sing a line? Chalo jao.
Yes, one line.
हाँ.
Jodi tore dak sune ko na se tobe ekla chalo re. Ekla chalo, ekla chalo, ekla chalo, ekla chalo re. Thank you so much, everyone.
Chalo, galo. Last line ga do. Go. माँ का राम सलाम
ले लीजो रे, जीवाला तो फिर मिला लानी का लीजो रे।
This line says, accept our greetings, Ram and Salam, because Hindu and Muslim and all the religions of India. And if we stay alive, we will meet again. So it's a song that's sung traditionally in Rajasthan, which we have been singing for years together. So we hope we'll all meet again, meet hopefully in person, but if not, at least virtually. It's been wonderful having you all this evening. And I can't begin to put words to the feelings I have in meeting all of you, seeing you, and even seeing you virtually has been so strengthening. And a thanks from Bunker. I don't know whether he would like to say something, but thanks from all of us, this huge mixed family of activists and social workers and everybody else who helped create this evening.
99.
Okay, Bunker, you're speaking? Huh.
Nothing
Bunker?
to say. Nothing to say.
At least you can say thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for organizing this. Now that you prompted me to say so.
Not to me, to everyone who's come to be with us.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So you see, you get a hang of what goes on every day between him and me.
It's very familiar.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
This is like a
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, and thank you.
Thanks for remembering us.
Not at all. Thanks for coming. It's been wonderful to have you all here. We have now enough energy for at least 2-3 months.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
But we have to,
Bye.
Aruna,
Thank you, Aruna.
it seems fascinating. The the anthology looks fascinating on the web. It looks fascinating. One really would like to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Aruna, so much. I'm looking forward to reading the book.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks,
everyone.
Aruna.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Kavita, thanks for
I'm
raising the questions
looking
about
Bye
today.
bye. Bye
both
bye.
of you.
And want
Bye,
to meet
Meenu.
all of you in
Hi,
person.
Meenakshi.
Bye,
Bye,
Bata.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, Hannah.
Bye, Bata.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Shiraz.
I'm not
Bye,
going to say
everyone.
bye. I want to put before you an issue of how are we going to integrate the indigenous people of indigenous people behind for our national breed.
So bye-bye, everybody. We'll meet again soon enough, I hope.
We will.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes, I look forward to that. We will be there for the next meeting.
Thanks to the organizing team, to Manushi, to all the Monu, to all the young people who helped us. Shaloni,
Thanks from all of us also.
Shubham,
From all of us.
everyone.
Bye.
The technical arrangements have been fantastic. Really, I want to give a special salam for that.
And thanks for that grand appearance of Banker Roy.
Chalo. Okay. Bye.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Good
Bye-bye.
night, everybody. Good
Thank
night.
you,
Bye
Ian,
bye.
for being here. Ian, thank you for being here and listening to us.
You know, we have said bye at least 10 times. You can see that we are reluctant to leave. We don't want to leave. That's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Bye, 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 bye,
Take
bye.
care. Take care. Bye.
Everybody knows that. इतनी lack of awareness होती है कि वो क्या छोड़ रहे हैं, मैं नहीं पता।